He's here! He's here! The crowd at the entrance of the Medicine Valley were all shocked. The majority of the people thought that Long Fei would escape within the next 3 days. They never expected that he would actually come forth to meet them. The medicinal pill glanced at Yao Changtian coldly and laughed coldly. You have saved your head, but in half an hour you will be expelled out of drug race with them. He looked very pleased with himself. Yao Changtian frowned. He did not care about what the medicinal pellet said. What he cared about was why Man Tuoluo did not leave. He clearly knew that the drug race were all alchemists. Why did he still come to challenge them? Yao Changtian hurriedly walked out, walked to Long Fei's side, and asked in a low voice, "Why aren't you leaving? Didn't I tell you to leave?" Man Tuoluo said weakly, "Uncle, don't blame him. I chose to stay." Huh. Yao Changtian frowned. Seeing Man Tuoluo's weak look, he said, "Where is the white flower spirit pill that I gave you? Why don't you take it?" Man Tuoluo smiled lightly and said, "Uncle, I cannot drag you into the water, so I will return the white flower spirit pellet to you." As he spoke, he took out the pill. As long as she took Yao Changtian's medicinal pellet, others would know the truth and would naturally drag her into the water. Man Tuoluo did not want to implicate Yao Changtian. This child! Yao Changtian's heart sank, and the remorse in his heart grew even stronger. Long Fei said slightly, "Uncle, don't worry, I will definitely win." Ha ha ha. After hearing that, the pill immediately laughed out loud. "You will win? You know what alchemy is? You understand alchemy? Alchemy rely on inherent skills and cannot be cultivated by just any kind of cat or dog. You will win. What did you take to win?" The pill said disdainfully, "Compete with drug race in alchemy? Wasn't this like an egg touching a rock?" He was asking for a beating. Long Fei did not bother with the medicinal pills. He looked at the pavilion master and said, "You are the person in charge of the Medicine Valley. Shouldn't you control the model dog in the valley a little? If it was in my world, this kind of person would definitely not be able to live in 2 lives." The medicinal pill immediately flew into a rage. "Brat, who are you calling a model dog?" Long Fei moved his finger, pointed at the medicinal pill's face, and said arrogantly, "I'm talking about you, you mottled old dog. How is it? Come bite me. If you have the guts, come F***king up and bite me. You don't dare? If you don't dare, then go rest for lousy. Fuck." Long Fei was extremely fierce, he could not help but curse, and was extremely displeased with the medicinal pill. This kind of person needed to be dealt with. With a livid expression, Pill's fists clenched tightly as fire appeared on its head. It said in a gloomy voice, "You dog, don't think that just because you have a little bit of strength you can be proud of it." Without waiting for him to finish, Long Fei laughed. "So what if I'm proud? I pointed at your nose and scolded you. You don't even dare to come up and bite me? How can a weak person like you have the nerve to live in this world? Even if you live, it would be a disgrace to your parents. I am truly puzzled. Why didn't your father shoot you down when you were strong?" Email protected at the medicinal pill had gone berserk, and its face was extremely ugly, like a ferocious beast that was about to pounce and bite Long Fei. However, Long Fei was completely fearless, coldly laughed, and said, "You're angry? Come, come, come." The pavilion master roared, "Enough! Brat, this is the Medicinal Valley. If you still want to challenge it, please restrain yourself. Otherwise, we will drop this match today. You can't even think of obtaining almighty anti-poison pill." Long Fei's gaze tensed up, and he cursed in his heart, "Old bastard." Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Tell me, how does alchemy entering the valley challenge?" Man Tuoluo couldn't hold on for too long. He had to quickly win the challenge and obtain the almighty anti-poison pill, or else, just when the grand pavilion master wanted to speak, a group of people walked out from a road not too far away. The medicinal pill's eyes lit up with excitement as it said, "It's here." And then the medicinal pill said to the pavilion master, "Pavilion master, I've invited the Mu clan's men over." A member of the Mu family? Even though he hated Man Tualuo and hated her for harming his grandson, he did not want to have anything to do with the Mu family. And he did not want the Mu family to get involved either. The medicinal pill immediately explained in a low voice, "Grand Pavilion Master, this kid who competed in alchemy is definitely not our match, but in terms of martial power, we need someone to suppress him, or else our clan's rules will be broken by this kid. He definitely won't admit his loss. When the experts of the Mu clan come, they will naturally be able to suppress him." Also, the voice of the medicinal pill lowered and said, "Man Tualuo, this monster, has always been chased and killed by the Mu family. This time, it just so happens that the Mu family brought her back, so we have one less thing to do. The Mu clan is the overlord of a radius of tens of thousands of kilometers. As long as we establish a good relationship with the Mu clan, our Medicine Valley will not have to fear anyone." He said a lot. He had a lot on his mind, but he was thinking on the bright side, never thought of the bad side. The pavilion master's face was calm without any ripples. After listening to the explanation of the pill, she nodded her head and said, "You are in charge of receiving the people from the Mu clan." Mu Xiaoyao walked next to Man Tualuo and gave him a cold glance. A sneer hung on his face, and then he looked at Long Fei seriously. "Trash." Long Fei glanced at Mu Xiaoyao from the corner of his eyes and laughed excitedly. "Boss." And then Mu Xiaoyao walked to the front, gave a respectful smile, and politely greeted, "Pavilion Master." The pavilion master politely smiled and said, "Clan Head Mu." Mu Xiaoyao said, "This visit was a great offense. Please forgive me, Pavilion Master. It was also because of Man Tualuo that she killed my son, and that's why." The medicinal pill took a step ahead of him and said, "Patriarch Mu, you are overthinking it. This Man Tualuo is also the bane of our drug race. The reason we have invited you here today is to have you come as a notary." "Ha ha ha." Mu Xiaoyao laughed and said, "I've heard about what happened. Don't worry. I will definitely enforce the law impartially. If anyone dares to break the rules, I will let them know about my Mu Xiaoyao's methods." While they were talking, his gaze was fixated on Long Fei. Man Tualuo frowned. She was very clear about the Mu family's ambition. Why would they need to bring over 10 of their elite warriors as witnesses? There must be a purpose. Moreover, the Mu clan had always been eyeing the Medicine Valley covetously. She wanted to step forward and say something, but was stopped by Long Fei. He naturally understood this as well. However, it was useless to say anything now. He had to win this alchemy challenge. Mu Xiaoyao was unperturbed by what he saw. He turned and walked to Long Fei's side, laughed coldly, and said, "Brat, you're the one that killed Clan Elder Mufong, right?" His eyes were cold. A thick killing intent emanated from him. Long Fei's eyes moved, his mouth raised, and laughed. "That's right, what's wrong? Is there a problem?" 8_8419/23566902. Arrogant. Arrogant. Extremely arrogant. Are you that great, Mu Xiaoyao? I am just as arrogant and tyrannical as before. When Long Fei said these words, his expression was extremely arrogant. He did not think that killing Mu Feng was anything impressive, and he did not place Mu Xiaoyao in his eyes at all. However, he was very excited about one thing, because Mu Xiaoyao was a boss that could make big leaps. If he did not want anything else, he wanted to get the heart of ancient fairy tree. You will definitely be blown up. Long Fei was extremely excited. At this moment, everyone's hearts tightened. No one expected Long Fei to be so arrogant, to actually admit killing the Mu family elders in front of Mu Xiaoyao. How arrogant was this? Furthermore, he spoke so arrogantly. Isn't this courting death? The medicinal pill had a complacent look on it as it laughed in its heart. What a brainless person! Mu Xiaoyao's brows tightened as he stared coldly at Long Fei. After pausing for a few seconds, he laughed coldly. Ha ha! All right, very good. As long as you dare to admit it. You just don't have to admit it. The killing intent in Mu Xiaoyao's eyes grew even stronger, and he said, "The rules for entering the valley through alchemy is for the loser to use the parts on their body. I don't care what they do to you. Today, I will definitely let you die here. Mu Xiaoyao, will do what I say." Absolute Chop was exceptionally serious. Since everything had been said so openly, Long Fei became even more fearless and said, "Since you've said it like that, then I should state my stance as well. Your father will definitely blow you up today. I will do it even when I say it." The smell of gunpowder immediately exploded in the air, as if a spark would explode at any moment. The atmosphere was extremely tense and tense. Mu Xiaoyao's killing intent became stronger, staring straight at Long Fei. Similarly, Long Fei also stared straight at Mu Xiaoyao. If he dared to move, he would immediately summon his giant demon hands and hammer him to death. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Mu Xiaoyao laughed and said, "Then we'll see. Let's see whether you die, or if you screw me over." And then Mu Xiaoyao said to the pavilion masters, "Pavilion master, you guys go first. As long as this bastard dares to play any tricks, I'll immediately kill him." The pavilion master said lightly, "Then I'll be troubling clan head Mu." At the same time, Long Fei said a few sentences in a low voice to Xiao Ying. Xiao Ying's expression slightly changed, and then she quietly disappeared. While everyone's attention was focused on Long Fei, she walked over to his side and said a few words to him. Yao Changtian lowered the center of his brows, glanced at Mu Xiaoyao, and then disappeared into the medicinal valley. Once you enter the valley, there will be a total of 5 matches. Each match will have the quality of the medicinal pellets, the level, and the victory point. If you win, you can enter the next stage. In the first 4 matches, we will provide the same spirit grass, the same pill furnace, and the required pills will be produced. In the 5th round, all of the spirit grass will be used to refine their own pills, and the pill quality will also be determined by the grade. Is there anything you don't understand? Long Fei said, "Yes." The pavilion master asked, "Where?" Long Fei said, "May I ask who will be the judge? You? What if you guys intentionally say that my pills are poor?" The pavilion master widened his eyes and said somewhat angrily, "Our drug race would not lie. The alchemy was passed down to us by the master. We will absolutely not insult our ancestor." The pills said in disdain, "Brat, you are a villain yourself. Don't think of us as villains." Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei shouted again, "Don't be so blind. Come up and bite me if you dare. If you don't have the balls, scram to the side." The medicinal pill's face was livid as it fiercely said, "Let's see how long you can continue being so arrogant for." Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, "All right, I'll believe you guys for a while." Actually, he was just asking. Seeing the pavilion master's expression, he knew that it shouldn't be a lie. However, if his pill was of the same grade as someone else's, then he would have definitely lost it. This point was without a doubt. This was their home ground advantage. And then, the moment the Grand Pavilion Master's voice fell, he said, "Let the alchemy enter the valley and begin the first round." bring the spirit grass to the cauldron. As soon as his voice faded, all of the disciples quickly retreated, and all of them looked at Long Fei with eyes filled with contempt. You overestimate yourself. Trying to compete with us in alchemy? That's more like it. Who would the Grand Pavilion Master send out to fight? If only it was me, I would be the first to step on him. Anyone from the Medicine Valley can defeat him. I heard that this competition will decide who is the new Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. I wonder if that's true or not. The crowd whispered amongst themselves. At this moment, Mu Xiaoyao whispered to a disciple, and that disciple quietly retreated into the forest. Long Fei wanted to kill. Man Tualuo wanted to get rid of him. But the most important reason for his visit this time was the entire drug race. He absolutely could not let something like the spirit powder come out. He absolutely could not. Otherwise, his Mu family would become a low-level family that anyone could step on. At this time, the spirit grass and pill furnaces were placed on the powder-making competition stage. Powder-making competition stage. It was set up on both sides of the Medicine Valley, just like a practice area, the 8 trigrams circle. Who goes out to fight? The Pavilion Master slightly shouted. Instantly, I'll go Grand Pavilion Master. If he asks me to step out, I'll immediately cripple him. Grand Pavilion Master, I'll go. Let me go. Let me do it. A large group of disciples rushed forward, just like a cannibal who had caught a whiff of the smell of blood. In their eyes, Long Fei was just a primary school student. They could do whatever they wanted to him. It was so oppressive that he did not dare to come out from the water, even half a step. He also wanted to participate in the battle for the medicinal pills, but he didn't fight because this was too low level and wasn't even qualified to participate. The Grand Pavilion Master smiled slightly, then said, Yao Ling, you fight. Yes, sir. A drug race disciple around the same age, as Long Fei walked out of the crowd. His face was filled with pride. He walked to the powder-making competition stage, gave Long Fei a cold smile, and said disdainfully, I will make you tremble. Long Fei laughed. Idiot! Yao Ling frowned. The Pavilion Master shouted, Yao Ling, don't let them disturb your mind. Oh. Grand Pavilion Master is indeed Grand Pavilion Master. You sure know a lot. Long Fei laughed. This was the most basic of all. Regardless of whether it was alchemy, artifact forging, or cultivation techniques, he had to be calm in his heart and put all of his heart into it. As soon as the great Pavilion Master's voice fell, he said, the first stage is the immortal opening pill. As soon as his voice faded, equals half carat float, hashtag life, carat everyone in drug race laughed. Ha ha ha. Opening spirit pill. The pill that Yao Ling is most proficient in. This brat is definitely going to lose. Ha ha. Is the Grand Pavilion Master really the Grand Pavilion Master? Yao Ling laughed with incomparable pride, looked at Long Fei, and said, prepare to tremble. 8_8419/2356903. Isn't it too shameless? Isn't it too shameless? Xiao Ying shouted angrily. Is there anyone that bullies others like that? He is in charge of concocting the spirit opening pill, yet you chose to compete in the spirit opening pill? Ha ha ha. Are you unhappy? If you're unhappy, then don't compete. If you want to compete, then you must follow the rules of our Medicine Valley. Ha ha ha. The drug race disciples were all excited. There was no longer any suspense in this match. Long Fei was definitely going to lose. Xiao Ying said angrily, shameless, despicable. Man Tualuo pulled Xiao Ying back and said, don't speak, don't disturb Long Fei. This is the Medicine Valley. They were the ones who wanted to challenge him, so they couldn't blame anyone else. Xiao Ying stomped his feet in anger. Miss, isn't this bullying too much? Man Tuoyuo said, I believe in Long Fei. Yao Ling watched as Long Fei stood on the stage, at a loss of what to do, and laughed. Brat, you haven't even seen a spirit-opening pill before? Ha ha ha. That's right. How could a lame duck like you see a spirit-opening pill? Long Fei did not speak. He held one spirit grass in his palm and felt it. The attribute is fire, 53% spirit liquid. This spirit grass is of the metal attribute, and its spirit liquid composition is 39%. One after another, spirit grass would sense and understand their attributes. A good quality pellet did not mean that your spirit grasses were of a high quality, but rather it meant that you had to use the strongest effect from the spirit grasses, perfectly produce a chemical reaction, and perfectly fuse them together. Has he gone silly? I told you that he didn't know how to use his alchemy. Kid, get the hell down here. Ha ha ha. You want to obtain alchemy with just this appearance? Go home and drink your milk. The drug race disciples jeered. Spirit-opening pills were just the most basic of pills. Even the 3-year-old kids here all knew how to refine them, but Long Fei just stood there like a log on the powder-making competition stage. Yao Ling laughed coldly and said, Trash, look carefully. How do I tell you to refine the spirit-opening pill? Finished. Yao Ling moved. The power of Celestial moved. The flames in the flames burned brightly. Following that, his technique was very stable and also very fast. The reaction speed of the idea was also very strong. He was able to grasp every single change in the pill's quality with great precision. He had to say it. His alchemy inherent skill had reached quite a high level, as expected of a branch of the medicine king race. 3 minutes later, Yao Ling smiled, shouted, and said, All right, Wang. A crisp sound came from the pill furnace. This was the sound of a pill being refined, and at the same time, the pill's spiritual scent spread out. A high-grade celestial opening pill was successfully concocted. 3 minutes. His speed was astonishing, and his ability to grasp pills was even more astonishing. Even the pavilion master smiled in satisfaction. Mu Xiaoyao's gaze darkened secretly as he thought in his heart, the disciples of the drug race are indeed extraordinary. A mere disciple is able to refine a spirit-opening pill in such a disparity compared to the alchemist of our Mu family. He's simply a bunch of trash. Yao Ling finished refining. However, Long Fei had not started. Xiao Ying became anxious and asked, Miss, why hasn't he started training yet? I already said no. How could the powder-making competition fight against the people of the drug race? What should we do? What do we do now? Xiao Ying was an impatient person, and seeing that Long Fei had not yet moved, she became incomparably anxious. At this moment, the disciples of the drug race started to jeer and mock him. Are you going to refine it or not? If you don't want it, then get lost. Don't embarrass yourself. Kid, have you been scared silly by senior fellow apprentice Yao Ling? Ha ha ha. Get lost. The pills started to feel proud and clamored. Brat, you're so arrogant. Aren't you very arrogant? Why did you become a mute now? You must be even more arrogant now. Dead dog. Ha ha ha. He finally had the chance to slander Long Fei. The medicinal pill was leaking crazily. Everyone was laughing at Long Fei, and Mu Xiaoya was also speaking with cold contempt. I had thought that it would be as high an alchemy technique as it is, but it turns out that it's just a fool. The pavilion master also said lightly, if you are unable to forge it, then please admit defeat and do not waste everyone's time. Get lost. What are you refining for? Always looking at the spirit grass. Can it still talk to you? Wasting time. Grand Pavilion Master, please announce his defeat. The cries of the drug race disciples grew louder and louder. At this moment, even Mantualuo was a bit worried. This was the first time for the spirit opening pill, so it had never been refined before. Even if it could be refined, it might not succeed. Even if he succeeded, nor could it be above the quality of Yao Ling's medicinal pellets. This was going to be difficult. Imperceptibly, Mantualuo's two hands tightly grabbed onto the corner of his clothes. The pavilion master continued, "I'll give you 3 more minutes." It was also at this time. Long Fei's eyes suddenly flashed with a bright light, as if he had suddenly gained enlightenment in a moment, and said, 1 minute. As soon as he finished, boom. The power of Celestial surged, the fire ignited, and then Long Fei raised his hand, and the spirit grass descended and started refining it with an astonishing speed. His movements were too fast. It was dazzling. However, many people in the drug race could see very clearly as they said with a cold smile, "Isn't this copying Yao Ling's alchemy? Imitation. Too shameless. Disgusting." One contemptuous voice after another sounded. However, the order in which the last few spirit grass were thrown in was different. The great pavilion master's forehead sank. Even he felt that it was very strange. If this is the case, how will the spirit liquid be merged with the alchemy? That's not right. This is against common sense. No. In his mind, he inferred. He was more familiar with the immortal opening pill than anyone else because he had researched it personally. No one knew the concocting process of the immortal opening pill better than him. Seeing that Long Fei set a few spirit grass in the wrong order, he first mocked them, then was shocked, and then he just couldn't understand. The other disciples could only mock him. Definitely failure. Definitely failure. He really doesn't know how to use his alchemy. He doesn't even know the most basic of things. Mantualuo was also panicking. Crap, he placed the wrong order of spirit grass. This pill, even if he did not fail, it would be a useless pill. Long Fei was still frantically refining. His idea stayed in the furnace the whole time, fusing the spirit liquid and fusing them together, producing the most intense chemical reaction. At this moment, he entered a state of selflessness. His world only had the pill in the pill furnace. The power of Celestial churned, bursting out even more violently than before. Suddenly, Long Fei shouted in his heart, "Second level, without peer. Baidu's sister-in-law, a half. Floating life strongest upgrade system. Boom." His energy surged, releasing an incomparable amount of power, allowing the spirit liquid to frantically release and fuse with the power of Celestial. "Let me handle it." Long Fei shouted loudly, and in that instant, rumble! F***CK. The furnace exploded. 8_8419/2356904. The sound of the pill being refined was probably a crisp and light sound. There was only one possibility for such an explosion. The sound of the pill being refined was probably a crisp and light sound. There was only one possibility for such an explosion. The furnace exploded. There was a sudden silence. And then, loud laughter erupted from the crowd. Ha ha ha. The furnace exploded. Ha ha ha. The furnace really blew up. I was laughing so hard. I thought it was so awesome. So it turns out it's just a tease. Brat, you're still using your alchemy to refine your mother's milk. They were all laughing. The people of Drug Race were laughing, as were the people of the Mu family. Only Xiao Ying's face was filled with anger, as well as the tight frown between his eyebrows. Amongst these people, the medicinal pills were smiling proudly. Trash, no matter how arrogant you are, aren't you just a bit more eloquent with your words? Now, let's see how you can still act so arrogantly. He lost, cripple him. Someone suggested it in an instant. It also elicited various responses. Yao Ling's face was filled with contempt as he said in disdain, I had thought that you were so strong, but it turns out you don't even understand alchemy. Making fun of your powder-making competition is simply an insult to me. Finished, he walked down the powder-making competition stage. The great pavilion master's heart also relaxed slightly. With a hint of contempt, he said to himself, the immortal opening pill was created by me. I have fused all the advantages and improved the technique. How could an alchemy apprentice like you change it? You overestimate yourself. He wouldn't do such a thing with any other pill, but he had researched this immortal opening pill, and it was something he couldn't allow others to insult him in the slightest. The Grand Pavilion Master's voice sank as he suppressed the voices of the drug race's disciples. He stared at Long Fei, who was standing on the powder-making competition stage, and said, Brat, you have lost. At this moment, Long Fei smirked and said, Did I lose? The pill couldn't help but shout, The furnace has already exploded, and you still dare to say that you didn't lose? Do you even know alchemy? If you don't understand, then don't be cocky here, understand? Long Fei's finger moved as he pointed to the medicinal pill and laughed coldly. Yo, you're so arrogant now. The pill shouted, Kid, you still dare to be impudent with the protection of the Mu family's experts. Mu Xiaoyao stood up from his seat, his eyes staring straight at Long Fei. He shouted, Kid, you have to admit defeat. Lose. Who said I lost? Long Fei sneered. His gaze turned to the pavilion master as he said, The rules of the competition does not allow explosion of the furnace. The pavilion master shook his head and said, No, but... Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately interrupted him and said, Since there's no proof, then why are you admitting that I lost? Who told you that a furnace explosion would prevent you from refining pills? Huh? Who told you that? The great pavilion master frowned and said, This is the basics of alchemy. An explosion means that the power within the pellet will explode. Wow, you are so knowledgeable. Long Fei laughed in disdain, and then he removed the broken pieces of the pill furnace and laid down quietly on a pill at the bottom of the furnace. At this moment, the pill released an incredibly dense spirit fragrance, overflowing. The entire valley was filled with the spirit fragrance of the immortal opening pill, as though it had refined all the spirit liquids of the dozen or so spirit grass. This feeling was too wonderful. It made people feel like they were trapped in a world of dreams. At this moment, the entire venue quieted down. They were all looking at the pill on Long Fei's powder-making competition stage. At this moment, it was as if they had been unknowingly slapped in the face. Their cheeks were burning with pain, and they were in an extremely terrible situation. Yao Ling's expression suddenly changed, and his body trembled. Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. It's impossible for an immortal opening pill to have such a dense spiritual fragrance. Based on his alchemy technique, it's impossible for him to successfully refine it. Every single person in the drug race were all experts in alchemy, so they were very clear on what such a dense spirit fragrance meant. Top-grade pill. Just a moment ago, he was disdaining Long Fei for not understanding alchemy, but now his old face looked as if it had been slapped until it was swollen, looking extremely uncomfortable. At this time, Long Fei took the immortal opening pill that he had refined and walked down to the front of the pavilion master and asked, Is there still a need to compete? At this moment, he did not even dare to look into Long Fei's eyes. This kind of feeling was really bad. The result of his investigation of several years ago was actually broken by him for the first time. It had improved. This kind of feeling was too unbearable. Taking the immortal opening pill from Long Fei and placing it in his palm, the idea moved a bit and a bundle of sensing power of celestial appeared on the center of its palm. In that instant, in less than a second, the pavilion master's expression suddenly shook as his eyes fiercely glared. He was incomparably shocked. You, how exactly did you refine it? Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. This immortal opening pill is already. It is beyond the scope of top-quality pills. It has already reached the realm of top-quality pills. The pavilion master was extremely shocked, so much so that he was extremely excited when he spoke. As soon as he finished, puffed, Yao Ling was enraged. He could not hold back and vomited a mouthful of blood as he fainted. The entire audience was also shocked. Peerless pill. Even a grandmaster would find it difficult to forge a pill. Yet, he was able to reach the level of a top-notch pill on his first try. Is he a human or a ghost? Isn't this too unbelievable? Long Fei's gaze swept across them and said indifferently, "The only thing I want to know now is who will win." He didn't want to say anything else. What he wanted now was the result. Although the pavilion master did not want to admit it, he had to admit that even he was unable to refine this pill. The shock in his heart was incomparable as he said indifferently, "You've won." As soon as his voice faded, the entire audience was in an uproar. Man Tualuo, who had been extremely nervous all this time, heaved a sigh of relief. Just now, her heart had been hanging by her throat, and she was extremely nervous. Xiaoying cried excitedly and shouted loudly, "Young Master Long is mighty. Young Master Long is domineering. Young Master Long, young Master Long, I love you." No. He was already incoherent. Long Fei's gaze swept across them. Looking at those disciples of the drug race who mocked and despised him earlier, he laughed coldly. "Ha! Laugh. Continue to fucking laugh, for lousy." His voice was arrogant. The anger in his heart was vented. Walking to the side of the pill, he pointed to the nose of the pill and cursed, "Weren't you the one who smiled the most just now? Now laugh for lousy again." "Huh. Why the fuck aren't you laughing?" F***CK. Furious, Long Fei arrogantly vented out his anger. At this moment, all the drug race disciples were crushed, and no one dared to laugh again. The face of the medicinal pill was as though it had been slapped left and right by Long Fei. Suddenly, the medicinal pill took a step forward and said, "Pavilion Master, I'll take the next test. 8_8419/2356905. A supreme grade spirit pill. A supreme grade spirit pill. He crushed them with brute force. Yao Ling was even crushed to the point of spitting blood. Long Fei's arrogance and domineering attitude also caused many of the drug race disciples to feel extremely displeased. They were displeased that Long Fei did not care. Long Fei only cared. He wanted to feel good. Many disciples of the drug race also shouted out, "Grand Pavilion Master, I'll take the next test. I'll do it. I must let this brat experience the power of our drug race. The fire is already big. When has the drug race ever been bullied like this? Let me do it." All the drug race disciples exploded. "Let's wait first." The great pavilion master's voice sunk. With a shout, he walked in front of Long Fei and said, "Can you tell me how this pellet was refined?" In that moment, he had simulated this countless times in his mind, and the final result was always one: failure. It was impossible to succeed. But Long Fei had succeeded, and he had very calmly succeeded. How did he do it? He really wanted to know, like a cat scratching itself. He couldn't help but want to know. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Do you want to know?" The Grand Pavilion Master looked at Long Fei and asked, "Can you tell me?" Long Fei laughed. "Please." The Great Pavilion Master frowned. This is too presumptuous. Boy, don't be too arrogant. An elder from the elder pavilion shouted in anger. Who was the pavilion master? The real leader of the drug race. Wanted him to save a junior? This was slapping drug race in the face. Long Fei grinned. I am this unbridled, this arrogant to bite me? Long Fei was unhappy about how they treated Man, Tualuo, that day. Unhappy Elder's Pavilion. Are you really that strong? I am stronger than you. I will trample you to death. The pavilion master's heart trembled as he looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said again, Please, please, I will tell you. The great pavilion master frowned and said heavily, I beg you, please tell me. As soon as he finished, the entire drug race was quiet as they all looked at the pavilion master. Everyone was stunned. Pavilion master, Medicine Valley sovereign, he is currently asking for an outsider, and he is even asking for an outsider's alchemy to enter the valley. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed and said, I'm begging you, but I won't tell you either. You, as if he was being toyed with, he said in a deep voice, This is still the first stage. There are still 4 stages waiting for you. So don't think that just because you've concocted a supreme level spirit pill that you're complacent about it. This is only the first stage. There's still a high price competition later on. I'll give you a chance right now. As long as you tell me the secret of how to concoct the supreme level spirit pill, I will let you leave safely. Oh, I'm so scared. Long Fei acted like he was afraid and said, But I won't tell you, I'll piss you off. Threatening your father? Who do you think you are? He hated people who threatened him the most in his life. The great pavilion master's brows sank, and his eyes became cold. He said solemnly, Second stage. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, Come. That day, Man Tualuo begged everywhere, even kneeling down. But what about them? Since even the valley did not allow her to enter, there was a time when she could only beg him. Naturally, Long Fei would not let her off so easily. Xiao Ying was a little dumbstruck from the look and said slightly, Miss, young Master Long is too handsome and too domineering. He. However, Man Tualuo was secretly worried in his heart. Long Fei's arrogance had already angered everyone in the drug race. The next stage was definitely not a battle between ordinary disciples and was definitely on the elder's level. Long Fei, can you win? Man Tualuo started to worry in her heart. Even when the pavilion master had asked for them to leave the Medicine Valley safely, she had wanted to pull Long Fei along with her and leave the valley. But now, too late. The grand pavilion master's voice sank as he said in a heavy tone, Second stage, immortal elixir. The prescription will fight. As soon as his voice faded, a man in his 40s walked out from the crowd. He had a dull expression on his face as he walked to the side of the pavilion master and said, Disciple will not fail his mission. The eyes of the medicinal pill tightened. At this moment, the medicine stepped forward and said, Grand Pavilion Master, my grasp of the immortal elixir has also reached the realm of pure fire emotion. Let me go. I'll definitely trample this kid to death. The pavilion master said slightly, There's no need to rush. The prescription has a unique understanding towards immortal elixir. The medicinal pill's expression changed slightly as it replied, Yes. From the corner of his eyes, he looked at the prescription and thought to himself, If he wins against Long Fei, then the position of Valley Master might even belong to him. No, this is all planned by me. I can't let him take the fruits of victory. At the same time, the medicinal pill looked towards his most prized disciple, Yao Lang. Yao Lang nodded his head lightly. He knew very well what the pill wanted him to do. And then Yao Lang gently retreated. Long Fei walked back to Man Tualuo's side and lightly said, I will take revenge for what they did to you one by one. Man Tualuo secretly frowned and said, You have to be careful. The level of attainments of the medicine towards the immortal elixir is extremely high, and even the Grand Pavilion Master may not be able to surpass him. The most important point about Immortal Elixir S is that their power of celestial has solidified. The two disciples pushed out the prepared spirit grass. 10 minutes later, this time, it was a little slow compared to last time. The pavilion master was rather dissatisfied. Why are you so slow? One of the disciples lowered his head and said, Sorry, I took the wrong spirit grass just now. Huh. The great pavilion master frowned. Why aren't you rushing? The spirit grass pushed Xiang Longfei to the side, and the disciple who spoke just now handed over the other spirit grasses to the medicine. The pavilion master shouted, Begin. And then his gaze locked onto Longfei and said fiercely in his heart, I'd like to see how you will refine it this time. The alchemy technique did not seem like a person's cultivation. It could not be detected by the power of celestial. Thus, no one knew what realm Longfei's alchemy technique had reached. Even the Grand Pavilion Master would not be able to tell. However, he believed that Longfei, the immortal elixir, would definitely not be able to refine it, because Immortal Elixir S were Earth Stage Level 3 immortal pills, and could only be refined by alchemy masters who had reached Earth Stage Level 3. Just their realms were enough to crush Longfei. There were only a few third-level Earth Stage cultivators in the entire immortal domain. Longfei would definitely lose. Just wait. Let's see how you can still act so arrogantly this time. The pavilion master felt displeasure in his heart. Longfei was still the same as before. He tried to sense all the spirit grass, and only after understanding the attributes of these spirit grass would he be able to make a move. He was in no hurry. However, the recipe was something he had not considered at all, hence he started refining it once he got on the powder-making competition stage. Equals semi/floating life plus immortal elixir S were too familiar to him. He knew how to refine it with his eyes closed. His movements were extremely fast, and just as he thought that he was about to finish, the pill furnace started shaking violently. Finally, boom! A loud sound echoed out. This time, the furnace was really going to explode. 8_8419/2356906. The sudden loud sound startled even Longfei. The disciples of the Medicine Valley were even more at a loss. The furnace exploded. The furnace had truly exploded. Just then, a strong wave of power of celestial shot out in all directions, causing the unformed medicinal liquid to spurt all over the ground. How could this be? The prescription's face darkened. Impossible! I can even refine immortal elixir with my eyes closed. How can it explode? The Grand Pavilion Master's gaze also tightened as his expression turned incomparably ugly. The explosion of a furnace was a very normal thing. Even if one was skilled in pill forging, it was still possible to blow up a cauldron no matter how low the grade of a pill was. An explosion in a medicinal formula was a very common occurrence. The medicinal pills were secretly delighted. They had their praise for Yao Lang. Even if he found out about this matter, he would still be able to explain it all. At this moment, the medicinal pill slightly said, Junior brother medicine formula, you disappoint us, disappoint the pavilion master. The pavilion master trusts you to fight, yet you... The furnace exploded. You... Sigh. The medicinal pill let out a heavy sigh as he blamed himself. It's all my fault. If I had asked a bit more at the beginning, it might have been me who would be participating. The expression on the medicinal formula was extremely ugly as she said, There must be a problem with the spirit grass. Grand Pavilion Master must be giving me another chance. The Grand Pavilion Master's face was gloomy as he shouted, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Do you want to lose face again?" The prescription lowered its head, not daring to speak. The other elders of the drug race also started to discuss softly. "This is too embarrassing. This is too embarrassing. This medicine elder is truly shameless. How could he make a mistake at this time?" Sigh. Drug Race's face has been completely thrown away by him. Maybe it really is the spirit grass's problem. I remember that there was one type of spirit grass and another type of spirit grass that looked exactly the same. What spirit grasses are you talking about? You're looking for excuses. Yao Fong walked down the powder-making competition stage with an ashen face. At this moment, Long Fei was not affected by the explosion of the medicinal formula. He was still immersed in his own world of pills. The recipe was blown up, but if he could not concoct the immortal elixir, then this statement would be a draw, and they would have to compete again. He had time, but Man Tuoluo did not have time. He had to obtain the almighty anti-poison pill as soon as possible. Moreover, the people of the Mu clan had always been eyeing him covetously. If his guess was correct, the army of the Mu clan might have already entered Herb Mountain and wouldn't be too far away. 5 minutes later, Long Fei started to refine again. This time, he did not refine the ingredients according to the recipe, but using a different method. Every detail about the Grand Pavilion Master was good. He wanted to see what kind of alchemy Long Fei had exactly, and was able to see the realm of his alchemy from his methods. The fire was raging. The spirit grass moved as though it was flying. Long Fei's speed was extremely fast the moment the pill was about to take shape. He roared in his heart, "Three-rate, peerless technique. Open!" Boom! The power of celestial that came out from his palm became even more turbulent, and the pill furnace kept shrinking. Half a minute later, the power of celestial suddenly stopped. Long Fei focused on the pill furnace. The idea sensed every slight change in the pill, and after 10 seconds, boom! The power of celestial released from his palm became even more turbulent. Crazy add-on. Wung. A crisp sound rang out. Done. Long Fei bellowed and let out a deep breath, thinking, "Fortunately, I have fused with the god's soul herb. Otherwise, my mental force would not be enough to use it." Alchemy used up too much of his mental power. As the pill furnace opened, immortal energy surged out in all directions. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Check it." The Grand Pavilion Master was overwhelmed with shock. I have never seen such a profound technique before, and this brat's alchemy technique is far beyond my expectations. Who is it? Why have I never heard of such a genius alchemy master? His realm is probably even stronger than Man Tuoluo's poison pill realm. Long Fei. People from the Long family S of the South Horizon region. He sniffed the immortal energy that was being emitted from Long Fei's powder-making competition stage. He could feel that this pellet was of a much higher quality than the other immortal elixir S, and he said faintly, "High-grade immortal elixir." As soon as his voice faded, the entire Medicine Valley's disciples and elders were once again shaken. Superior immortal elixir? How is this possible? This is his first time refining a immortal elixir. Who the hell is he? At this time, even the space between Mu Xiaoyao's eyebrows tightened. If the quality of the spirit opening pill was luck, and one's luck was explosive, then this immortal elixir was definitely not luck. In his heart, he was also thinking, who exactly is this kid? Too powerful. Even a genius with alchemy couldn't do such a thing. Xiao Ying became excited. "Victory, miss. Young Master Long has passed the second round. Too cool." Man Tuoluo let out a long breath, looked at Long Fei, and the expression in her eyes became different as she asked herself, Who exactly are you? Everyone was shocked. An Earth Stage Level 3 immortal pill was not something that just anyone could concoct. High-grade medicinal pills were even more difficult. At this moment, the expression on the face of the medicinal pill was a little ugly. If it was him, he wouldn't be able to refine a high-grade immortal elixir, but he has Yao Lang. The reason the medicinal formula exploded was because Yao Lang had changed it to another type of spirit grass. Long Fei faintly smiled as he held the pill in his hand and said, "Do you want to test it again?" The Grand Pavilion Master stared at Long Fei and said, "Prepare for the next match." "Ha ha ha." Long Fei laughed. "Since that's the case, I will eat it." He directly swallowed the immortal elixir down. Ding! Power of celestial value plus 500 points. Long Fei was secretly excited. Not bad, not bad. This immortal elixir is really not bad. He was currently extremely lacking in power of celestial, so he barely managed to replenish his 500 points of power of celestial. A few minutes later, the Grand Pavilion Master's voice sounded again. Third stage blue panacea. The medicinal pills grew excited as they immediately walked forward. "Pavilion Master, I'll do it." The blue panacea was something he had researched. He was in charge of refining blue panacea in the drug race, so it could be said that no one knew more about how to refine blue panacea than him. The head of the pavilion said lightly, "Let's fight with the medicinal pills. This disciple will not fail his mission." The pill was exceptionally happy as he thought to himself, "Looks like the Elder's Pavilion is still on my side. Ha! I must be the new Valley Master." However, even if it was the pill he was good at, the pill still gave Yao Lang a meaningful glance. Yao Lang disappeared, once again, in the exchange of spirit grass. Even if Long Fei had the ability to transcend the heavens, she would still not be his match. All the medicinal pellets became complacent as they looked at the nearby Long Fei and said, "Brat, this time I will definitely let you experience this old man's power. Just wait for me to admit defeat obediently." Ha ha ha. He was very arrogant and proud. However, in Long Fei's opinion, he was just someone who deserved a slap. Long Fei laughed. "Do you want us to bet on it?" Chapter 6, Supplementary Chapter, still 2 chapters short. Thank you for your support. This was the recommended friends book, Hierarch All Sword. Everyone had to download and support it. Haiyang was extremely grateful. 8_8419/2356907. The pill was stunned for a moment. He did not expect Long Fei to take the initiative and request to increase the wager. That's not right. This was probably because he wanted to die in an even more unsightly manner. The pill immediately said, "The excitement of the bet, what do you want to bet?" Long Fei said, "Since it is exciting, then of course it is the wager. Whoever loses will take off all their clothes and run 10 laps around the powder-making competition stage. What do you say?" "Do you dare?" The corner of the medicinal pill's mouth curled up as it laughed sinisterly. "You are courting death. You cannot blame me." "Then you bet." "I'll have to trouble Patriarch Mu to bear witness. If he doesn't admit his loss." Mu Xiaoyao immediately laughed. "Pill Elder, don't worry. With me here, even if he does not admit defeat, I will still let him finish crawling 10 rounds. The alchemy that Long Fei had displayed was very strong. Once these kind of people were identified as enemies, then they definitely could not be allowed to leave alive. Long Fei laughed and said, "Patriarch Mu, do you want to take a gamble too?" Mu Xiaoyao smiled slightly. "Brat, I don't have the leisure to play with you. If you want to bet, after we finish challenging the drug race, I'll bet with you." "Oh, is the spirit powder not interested?" Long Fei smiled playfully. Mu Xiaoyao's expression immediately changed. Upon hearing the words spirit powder, he secretly clenched his fists and stared at Long Fei with gloomy eyes. What do you want to bet? I suddenly don't want to gamble with people like you anymore. Gambling with people like you is just wasting my time. Long Fei's tone changed. He was trying to sound out Mu Xiaoyao's words. Seeing his nervous expression, Long Fei thought in his heart, it looks like he doesn't know the limitations of the realm and the spirit powder. How dare you? Mu Xiaoyao was toyed with, and her anger instantly burst out, as though she was in a bad mood. Long Fei laughed coldly and said, I am just that presumptuous. Don't worry, I will let you see the spirit powder. Hearing Long Fei's words, Mu Xiaoyao's heart tensed up again. He stared at Man Tuoyuo with a sinister gaze. His killing intent was extremely strong. He knew clearly in his heart that the spirit powder was researched and created by Man Tuoyuo, but in just a few days, there would be people who could refine spirit powder. And once this kind of pill was promoted, thinking about it, Mu Xiaoyao's heart tensed up. Today, no matter what, we cannot let them leave here alive. Absolutely not. The spirit grass is here. The two disciples had brought out the spirit grass as they needed to refine blue panacea, and each had one. At this moment, Yao Lang gave a light nod of his head to the medicinal pellet on the powder-making competition stage, and the medicinal pellet became excited as he disdainfully thought to himself, Brat, let's see how I'll toy you to death this time. Fight with me. Arrogant. Humph, let's see if you can still act so arrogant later on. When the spirit grass was placed on the powder-making competition stage, Long Fei could sense it the same way as before. He understood the attributes and the degree of spirit liquid the spirit grass had in his heart, as well as the similarities between them. Blue panacea, Earth Stage Tier, 6 Immortal Pill. It had the miraculous ability to guard spirit essence, channel the mind, and expand the sea of consciousness. Pills were extremely difficult to refine. He couldn't make any mistakes with each step. Even the slightest mistake could lead to failure. Moreover, refining blue panacea required more than 30 kinds of spirit grass, and this was the most quantity of spirit grass pellets Long Fei had refined so far. The steps were complicated and complicated. Not only did he have to control the fire, he also couldn't mistake the order in which the spirit grass entered the furnace. It would be extremely difficult to refine the blue panacea within a short period of time. The spirit pellet carefully examined the spirit grass and then revealed a proud smile and said, Brat, so long as you kowtow and admit defeat now, I will let you live. He was very proud. He was incomparably proud because victory was already in his grasp. Long Fei slightly raised both his eyes, looked at the medicine pill as he said with a complacent expression, Don't worry, even if you kneel down and admit defeat now, I still won't agree. I just want to see you take off your clothes and walk around the powder-making competition stage. Back then, when the medicine pill had made Man Tuoyuo kneel on the ground and imprint it in his mind, Long Fei had wanted to use an even more ruthless method to shatter his reputation so that he would never be able to get up. Competing ruthlessly, Long Fei was fiercer than anyone. The best way to step on the medicinal pellet was to discredit his reputation and be despised by others. Long Fei could tell from the look in his eyes that his reputation was extremely heavy, and he probably had taken a fancy to the position of the Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. You want to show off here? Then let him kneel on the ground. The medicine pill laughed disdainfully. I gave you a chance, but you do not know how to cherish it. Just wait for me to strip naked and crawl around the powder-making competition stage 10 times. As soon as he finished, the medicinal pills began to circulate. Although he had researched the blue panacea and was very familiar with it, he did not let his guard down. He wanted to refine a high-quality pellet. If this works, I'll wring my head off. It was also at this time the voice of the pill shouted, "All right." A crisp hum sounded out from the pill furnace as a rich spiritual energy gushed out. A sweet smell assaulted the nostrils. Superior blue panacea. One of the cabinet elders' eyes flashed. He looked at the pills on the powder-making competition stage and said excitedly, "I was right. Ha ha." As soon as his voice faded, the Medicine Valley disciples were all shocked. "Grand Elder, you truly are worthy of being called Grand Elder. Let's see how that kid will jump now. I've definitely won. Ha ha ha." After letting out a heavy sigh, the medicinal pills released the pent-up rage in their hearts. Everyone had a smile on their faces. High-grade blue panacea. To be able to reach the peak of the Earth stage. Who could compare to him? Even the Grand Pavilion Master, whose face had always been gloomy, revealed a rare smile. They were sure to win this match. At the same time, Mu Xiaoyao then whispered to the disciple beside him, "Get the brothers ready." Xiao Ying was incomparably anxious and said, "Miss, is the high-ranked blue panacea very high-ranked?" Man Tualuo's brows tightened and said with a low voice, "It's very high, extremely high. Even if it's a cabinet elder, it might not be possible to refine it out." Then Xiao Ying revealed a worried expression as he looked at Long Fei, who was still refining the pill on the powder-making competition stage, and secretly clenched his fists. She entered a state of combat. The violent immortal foundation faintly moved. At this moment, he took the pill and slowly walked down the powder-making competition stage. At this moment, he was like a hero returning from a triumphant return. Everyone's eyes were on him. The cabinet elders smiled at him, and the disciples and elders treated him with utmost respect. In their hearts, medicinal pills were heroes. He was going to win against Long Fei. The medicinal pill looked at Long Fei, who was on the powder-making competition stage, and revealed a disdainful smile, saying, "Boy, admit defeat. Stop struggling so fearlessly." He had sufficient qualifications to be arrogant as a superior grade blue panacea. This time, he could be considered to be proud of his achievement. The medicinal pill felt extremely proud of itself as it thought to itself, "The position of Valley Master is mine now. Ha 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 ha." He was extremely pleased with himself. His expression was one that could not be concealed. On the powder-making competition stage, Long Fei was still continuing, but sweat poured down his forehead like rain, and his mental energy was extremely exhausted. It was as if his entire body had been completely drained. Unwell. The release of the power of Celestial also reached a peak. Suddenly, 4th level, peerless, open. Long Fei's body produced a buzzing sound from the impact of the energy. Releasing all 16 times the power of his attributes, Long Fei moved his idea and poured all of his power into it. He roared out loudly, "Done!" Rumble! A loud sound echoed out as it shot into the sky. It exploded in the sky like fireworks. At the same time, the pill furnace shattered into pieces. The furnace exploded. No one dared to mock him, because Long Fei had once exploded the furnace to concoct a top-quality pill. This time, it was another explosion. What could it be? Failure? Success? Everyone's gaze was fixated on Long Fei's powder-making competition stage. The great pavilion master's brows sank as he said, "No pills." As soon as he finished, the disciples of Drug Race, especially the medicinal pills, heaved a sigh of relief and immediately started laughing out loud. "Brat, you've lost. Ha ha ha. Fight with me? Are you even worthy? Prepare to die." Long Fei's mouth curved up, his 2 eyes looking at the sky, and laughed coldly. "No pills. Open your dog eyes wide and see clearly." It was also at this time the loud sound from the sky suddenly came down like a fine beam of light falling down vertically. Schwa! The power of the sky was tempered and refined. The beam of light was nothing more than the pill that had been blown away by the explosion. It rapidly condensed at this moment, forming in a split second. Everyone was dumbfounded. Is this alchemy? Is this magic? Many of them were scared to the point of peeing their pants. What kind of alchemy technique was this? Pills could fly in the sky. What kind of power was this? The pavilion master's eyes tightened as his body began to tremble uncontrollably. He was incomparably excited as he looked at the completed pill, which was still rotating on top of the pot at the bottom of the pill furnace. His expression changed. God's alchemy. God's alchemy. The legendary God's alchemy. Chapter 28_8419/2356909. A pill that could send the heavens flying. A pill that could send the heavens flying. A type of medicinal pill refined by the heavens. An unparalleled technique. God's alchemy. A technique that only existed in legends. When Long Fei released it now, many people could not understand it, but they all knew in their hearts that this kind of alchemy technique was incredible. There was a sound of thunder being pulled from the dry land. The sky shook tremendously. It fell from the sky vertically. Pill congealing external spiritual pill. Many people were puzzled when they heard about the great pavilion master's God's alchemy. One of the cabinet elders asked in a low voice, that kind of medicinal method that uses the power of heaven and earth to refine pills, isn't that a kind of legend? Yeah, he can do that. The pavilion master did not believe it and thought that it was just a legend. However, the technique Long Fei had used just now was a technique from the God's alchemy. Seeing everyone's shocked expression, Long Fei was secretly surprised. God's alchemy? Ha ha ha. This name isn't bad. It's very domineering and can intimidate people. Long Fei laughed arrogantly, then shouted, Not bad. You still know the God's alchemy? You have some experience. Since he said this was the God's alchemy, then he would admit it if he went along with the flow and would be able to crush Drug Race even more. Your alchemy technique is very powerful. Are you as awesome as lousy? The pavilion master looked at Long Fei with both eyes and asked seriously, Who exactly are you? Long Fei grinned. Guess. How dare you? All the halos that he easily obtained were now being attracted by Long Fei. He wanted to let Long Fei know that this was his territory, his home ground. Long Fei immediately retorted, I was presumptuous. What about it? The medicinal pill's eyes turned sinister as it shouted, The alchemy is extremely stable. It's accurate. It's stable. You just got yourself some fancy stuff. What heaven pill technique? I think it's just a monkey trick. Kid, we are comparing the quality of the pills, their levels, and even more so the quality of the blue panacea S. Please remember this clearly. This time, they were competing in terms of blue panacea S. Even if the pellets Long Fei refined were of extremely high quality, they were not blue panacea S, but lost. The pellet in his hand was a superior grade blue panacea that had reached the 9th level of the Earth stage. It could be said that there was no longer any existence in the blue panacea that could surpass it. Many Drug Race disciples also spoke up. The great clan elder is right. We are competing on blue panacea S. If you can concoct any other pills, you will lose. What God's alchemy? I think it's just some random technique. Don't waste time. Hurry up and let the pavilion master inspect it. Everyone began to argue. The Grand Pavilion Master was already furious. The Grand Pavilion Master was already furious. It didn't matter if he lost the powder-making competition. However, he could not lose face for the Drug Race. Now, not only was he losing face, he was also getting whipped. This caused him to be incomparably furious. Thinking about it now, the knowledge the formula had about immortal elixir could not possibly go up in smoke. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that someone had done something to the spirit grass. The pavilion master stared at the pill. The pill cried out, "Pavilion master, I really don't know anything. I have never left this place before. So how am I supposed to do anything? Besides, there's a certain probability of explosion in alchemy. It's just that we were encountered by Junior Brother Medicine Cube. Grand Pavilion Master, you are wrongly accused." As he spoke, his tears began to flow, as if he had suffered a great grievance. "Nice acting." Long Fei laughed in disdain. The medicinal pill's gaze turned, stared at Long Fei, and asked, "Who exactly are you, and what exactly is your purpose for coming to the drug race?" "Grand Pavilion Master, this brat seems to have evil intentions and has ill intentions towards the drug race. He wanted to turn the tables on Xiang Longfei. However," Long Fei laughed coldly, "I simply do not have good intentions. I do not have good intentions, so what about it? I had thought that the drug race was fair and square." So, not waiting for him to finish, the pavilion master shouted, "Enough!" It was also at this time Yao Lang was dragged out, and he was escorted up. Yao Changtian said, "Grand Pavilion Master, after examination, it is he who swapped the spirit grass of Junior Brother Long Fei's medicine formula with another one of Long Fei's spirit grass." The pavilion master had yet to speak. The pill rushed up and slapped down as he shouted, "Yao Lang, you're amazing! To think that I trusted you so much, to think that you would actually do such a disgraceful thing. You've disappointed me too much. From now on, I don't have a disciple like you." At this time, Mu Xiaoyao's eyes darkened. An elder beside him asked, "Patriarch, what do we do?" Mu Xiaoyao shook his head lightly. Yao Lang was slapped until he was extremely angry. His eyes stared straight at the pill and could not help but look at the Mu Xiaoyao in the distance. At this moment, no one spoke a word for him. "You still dare to look at me like that?" The medicinal pill slapped down once again as it shouted, "You've truly disappointed me." Long Fei laughed blandly. "You are such a good actor. A mere little disciple without any benefits would risk his life to exchange for a spirit grass. He. Even a fool would understand." Long Fei's words were like a bucket of gasoline poured over a fire, and flames soared into the sky with a boom. This time, Long Fei took the lead. After quickly understanding the spirit grass, his movements became exceptionally quick. At the same time, the idea connected to the Yellow Springs summoning seal and said, "Brothers, I need your help." "Fuck, boss, you finally thought of us." "Ha ha ha. Is it finally our turn to go on stage?" "Boss, what do you think we should do?" When they were at the Heaven Sect, they were already eager to give it a try, but Long Fei did not let them out. He had been waiting, and now he finally had the chance. Long Fei said, "I need the strongest person. Who has the strongest cultivation?" "Me. A level 4 warlord, and the strongest here." An old man in his 60s walked out. Long Fei said, "All right, in a while, I will release your soul and assimilate it into the pill. You must endure a little pain. I will swiftly refine it." "No problem." The old man didn't say anything else. 3 minutes later, Long Fei finished everything perfectly and almost fused the ghost into the pill. He shouted in his heart, "Ancestor!" Buzz. A loud sound echoed out. A strand of soul within the death-calling God seal was wrapped by a strand of energy and assimilated into the medicinal pellet. Long Fei swiftly refined and controlled its soul. 10 seconds later, "Done!" Long Fei shouted, and a clear sound came out from the pill furnace. "Refinery completed." Just like that. Less than 5 minutes. Is he refining a battle pills? Is battle pills that easy to refine? Many people were still suspicious because the battle pills was very difficult to refine. The great pavilion master frowned. It seems like there's nothing. This battle pills. What kind of power can it possibly have? He was also speaking here. A light sound rang out from Yao Puti's side as well. He let out a loud shout. Done. The pills he refined were completely different. Yao Puti said indifferently, the 5th level of the heaven-ranked spirit Dan is the little burst immortal pill. It can help cultivators below the arrogant immortal state raise their power of celestial by 1 level, and the power of the 3rd level can increase the absorption of the world's spirit energy by 3 times. High-grade quality. As soon as he finished, before the people from Drug Race could react, Mu Xiaoyao's face darkened, and the muscles at the corner of his eyes began to twitch. Drug Race definitely cannot stay. They were all crazy. Drug Race and the other geniuses from the alchemy, all of them were simply madmen. If even this kind of battle pills could be refined, once they recovered their vitality, then there would no longer be a place for the Mu family. Yao Puti walked down slowly and placed the pill in the hands of the pavilion master. The pavilion master smiled in satisfaction and said, it's just as he said, but the quality should be one of the best of the best. It's of the highest quality. All right. Great. The disciples of Drug Race cheered. This should be fine, right? You can win now, right? Brat, it's your turn. Why are you still bringing along the powder-making competition stage? Why aren't you coming down? Long Fei slowly walked down and passed the pill to the pavilion master. The grand pavilion master's face darkened as he sensed the presence of the other party. When everyone saw his expression change, their relaxed hearts rose to their throats. Their hearts tensed up. Damn, could it be another pill of the highest quality? The corners of the great pavilion master's mouth drew back, revealing a sneer. A useless pill. As soon as he finished, the entire drug race was cheering, as if they were retaliating from the dead, winning a great battle. A useless pill. Ha ha ha. I knew it. How can a battle pills be refined by anyone? Brat, go home and drink your milk. Ha ha ha. He lost. Cripple his hand. The anger that was suppressing their hearts finally exploded out, and everyone's faces were filled with excitement. The same went for the face of the pavilion master. He had examined it several times, and the results were always the same. It was a waste powder. Long Fei looked around at the mocking faces and smiled slightly. Then he looked at the pavilion master and said, "A useless pill? Are you sure? Kid, Grand Pavilion Master is born with the ability to sense the quality of medicinal pills. Do you doubt him? Life, ha ha." The Pavilion Master smiled and said, I can guarantee with my life that this is a useless pill. Equals semi/floating life plus. He had never made a mistake. The immortal foundation he had fused with was the immortal foundation for sensing pills. How could there be a mistake? The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, and he asked, what if it wasn't a useless pill? Chapter 5. There are still updates today. I still owe you 2 chapters, but I'll try my best to make it up to you today. Thank you for your support. 8_8419/23566912 The pavilion master did not believe him at all, but he still swallowed the pill Long Fei refined. The pill was melting crazily in his mouth. And then a powerful force charged out from his body, and a ghost landed next to him. It respectfully asked, "Master, what instructions do you have?" The pavilion master's face fell as he fell to the ground in fright. He stared at the air with a dumbstruck expression and pointed at him. "Who are you? Who exactly are you?" At this time, all of the drug race disciples were stunned. "Grand Pavilion Master, what's wrong? What's the situation?" "Kid, what exactly did you feed the Grand Pavilion Master?" Long Fei smiled faintly. "Great Pavilion Master, is what I said true? If you don't believe me, as an alchemy, I can control him as well." Long Fei smiled slightly, and then the idea moved and said, "Who laughed at me just now?" As soon as he finished, "Pa, pa, pa." A series of loud, slapping sounds could be heard. For some inexplicable reason, the slapping sounds were so hard to react to that one strike that no one knew what had happened. Mu Xiaoyao also suddenly stood up. Long Fei's eyes revealed a faint smile. He looked at Mu Xiaoyao and said, "Were you smiling just now as well?" Mu Xiaoyao frowned and shouted, "Brat, you dare?" Long Fei sneered. "Why would I not dare?" "Pa!" The 5 finger marks could clearly be seen as his face sank and blood hung from the corner of his mouth. The disciples of the Mu family rushed forward in a flash. Long Fei laughed. "If you have the guts, try touching me. Do you believe that I won't cripple your entire second brother? Come on, let's give it a try." Those disciples of the Mu family were stunned. Mu Xiaoyao's face became extremely ugly as he stared at Long Fei. His mind started to work frantically, and then he laughed out loud and said, "Young Master Long, we do not have any malice towards you. This person could not be offended. However, Long Fei did not think that way. He looked at the wound on Mu Xiaoyao's head and muttered, 80,000 HP, not a small number. It seems to be a pretty good boss. It's just a pity. If ghosts can raise their levels and cultivate and make breakthroughs, that would be great. Then I would have an undead legion." Yen Huang Ancestor laughed. "This is not a big problem. As long as you are willing, I have a way to make them stronger in cultivation." Long Fei's heart trembled as he asked, "Ancestor, are you speaking the truth?" Yen Huang Ancestor, "Of course it's true, but your 2 immortal roots are—" "Take it." Long Fei didn't even think before he replied, "Immediately, as long as you can bring this undead legion back, I'll give you anything you want." "Ha ha!" Yen Huang Ancestor immediately put the 2 immortal roots into his mouth and started chewing on it. He said happily, "Immortal roots are immortal roots. Their power is strong. Ah, so cool, so cool. If you want his men to kneel, then you have to pay the price. If you want his men to kneel, then you have to pay the price." Long Quangtian kneeled to the King Yama, and the King Yama died. Lu Luoshi kneeled down, and Hong Tianjun fell down. When Man Tualuo kneeled, Long Fei wanted to humiliate the entire drug race, to overturn them. Long Fei's voice sank, and he said, "Bao, apologize." Extremely domineering and arrogant, the head of the pavilion master was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. His entire body seemed as if it was about to erupt with flames. He was incomparably furious. When had he ever been humiliated like this? However, he couldn't afford to lose his temper. Because he'd lost, he was convinced of his defeat, and he couldn't come up with any excuses. Yao Puti said, "I lost the match. I apologize." "I'm not qualified." Long Fei sneered and stared at the pavilion master. "Apologize." "All right." The pavilion master clenched his teeth and said, "I apologize." Looking at Man Tualuo's resentful eyes, he bowed and said, "I admit defeat if I lost. I'm sorry." A loud sound was heard. The entire audience was in an uproar. All of the drug race disciples were fuming with anger. They also hated Long Fei to the bones, and the pavilion master was acting on behalf of the drug race. Man Tualuo's heart also sank. He wanted to reject, but instead, the look in the pavilion master's eyes told her that even if she rejected, it would be useless. The pavilion master stood up and stared at Man Tualuo. "I won't give you the almighty anti-poison pill, and I won't lose in the 5th match either. I want you 3 to be unable to leave this medicine valley." Boom! A loud sound echoed out. A powerful force burst forth from the Grand Pavilion Master's body, and his eyes were bloodshot. He was truly infuriated and infuriated. In his 80 years of life, he had never been forced to such an extent. Today, he definitely had to teach Long Fei a lesson. No matter who he was, no matter what background he had, he would definitely teach Long Fei a good lesson. Long Fei grinned from ear to ear and said, "This is only the beginning. There's still more. You should just endure it." And then Long Fei walked to Man Tualuo's side, looked at the weak in her, and said, "You don't need to care about anything. Just leave everything to me. Xiaoying, take good care of the young miss. At the same time, take precautions against Mu Xiaoyao." Long Fei warned once again, and the spirit demon in the spirit's pill rushed into the forest. Just as Long Fei had expected, all of the elite disciples of the Mu family were in Herb Mountain, numbering 600. The purpose of such a huge battle formation was not only for them, but also for the drug race. The Mu family is going to annihilate the drug race. I don't care who kills who, but I'm definitely going to beat the boss, Mu Xiaoyao. Long Fei laughed excitedly in his heart. He must expose the heart of ancient fairy tree. He could already feel the desire of the dragon Salyer. Mu Xiaoyao would definitely beat him. The Grand Pavilion Master walked up to the powder-making competition stage and lightly said, "You are free to choose the 5th match. However, the spirit grass has prepared it. The pill furnace has prepared it." Xiaoying said loudly, "Isn't this too unfair? Where are we going to recruit spirit grass at this time?" The pavilion master disdainfully said, "That is your own matter. Isn't he strong? Wasn't he arrogant? If he has the guts, then let him use the air to refine some supreme grade spirit pellets." This was his territory. He was in charge of the rules of the Medicine Valley. In order to refine high-level pellets, there must be a lot of high-level spirit grass and high-level furnaces as well. Only then would the success rate be higher. Equipment was a major factor. At this moment, drink, drink, drink. The upper half of the 8 sturdy disciples of the drug race were heavily lifting a gigantic cauldron. The entire body of the cauldron was engraved with the tattoo of a dragon. Green dragon medicine, tripod, the holy artifact that were guarding one of the medicine valleys. Long Fei looked at it and was unable to open his eyes. Yen Huang Ancestor also said excitedly, "Good stuff." Boom. Roar. The dark dragon god inside the dragon Salyer roared. Even he was excited? That's not right. Long Fei had a special feeling when he looked at the green dragon medicine tripod, as if this was something left behind by the ancestors of their long family. Green dragon medicine tripod. The Grand Pavilion Master is truly angry. He's definitely going to lose this time. Grand Pavilion Master is a master of the 8th level of the Heaven Stage alchemy. If he makes another breakthrough, he will become a master of immortal pills. In the entire immortal domain, there are only a few people who can surpass him. With the Grand Pavilion Master making his move, this kid will definitely not stand a chance. Just you wait. Watch how this brat dies. The drug race disciples became excited. The Grand Pavilion Master was too strong. He was the strongest alchemy master in the entire drug race. 8th level of the heaven stage. After breaking through 2 more realms, one would be able to step into the realm of an immortal pill master. At this moment, Mu Xiaoyao said in a low voice, "Pass my orders down. Let the brothers prepare. Remember, the green dragon medicine tripod must be snatched over for me. Green dragon medicine tripod, sacred artifact of alchemy. Who doesn't want it? With this kind of sacred object, alchemy, even an idiot would be able to refine high-grade pellets. Legend. The Medicine Valley S had relied on their green dragon medicine tripod to rise in power and extend their existence for tens of thousands of years. One of the disciples lightly said, "Disciple will go and arrange it." In another place, within the Medicine Valley, Yao Changtian summoned all of his trusted aides, disciples, and the disciples of the War Hall from the Medicine Valley, and said in a heavy voice, "I know that you all don't believe me, but today is the moment of life and death for the drug race. Whether or not you all can protect the drug race is up to you." They had no choice but to take this life and death situation seriously. Moreover, Yao Changtian had been good to them in the past. "Valley Master, we will listen to your commands at any time." The green dragon medicine tripod was carried up to the powder-making competition stage, and at this time, a dozen disciples were holding on to a spirit grass. These spirit grass were all in their mature stages and had not been harvested. The freshest spirit grass possessed the densest amount of spirit energy. It was also the best time for the alchemy. At this time, even Mantuoluo could not help but say, "Isn't this a little too unfair?" "Fair? Humph!" The pavilion master sneered. "Is there a time for fairness in this world? The tempting immortal roots you possess made the disciples of the Medicine Valley have a rather beastly personality, to the point of causing them to explode. Is that fair? Why didn't you say it was fair at that time?" Mantuoluo's gaze tightened, and her body started to tremble lightly. She would never want to recall that scene again, and every time she thought about it, she would tremble in fear. Xiao Ying said angrily, "So many years have passed, you probably still don't know if that beast-like grandson of yours didn't want to rape Miss. Mantuoluo's body trembled nonstop and said, Stop it." Xiao Ying's face sunk. Seeing Mantuoluo's frightened look, she couldn't help but cry. So many years had passed. Everyone thought that Mantuoluo was a monster, a demon, and a fiend, but no one ever thought of why she would do that. The pavilion master's eyes were filled with anger as he said, "Don't even think of slandering me, you monster. Today, I shall see you die in front of me." Long Fei coldly snorted and said, "What are you being cocky for? Let's begin. I can't wait any longer." Chapter 7. He had finished repaying all the chapters he owed. Thank you for your support. 8_8419/2356914. Half a year ago, Immortal Domain was still not allowed to refine Magic Pill, but now that the Demon Owl had risen again, the Heavenly S wanted to combine their powers to fight against the giant demons, which would allow demon disciples to enter the Immortal Domain, so the refining of Magic Pill was naturally allowed as well. Open. As soon as Long Fei finished speaking, the box opened and waves of blood poured out. Long Fei moved and took out a spirit grass from the box. Metal element, spirit grass. The magic panacea furnace moved and started to operate. Shwa! The spirit grass was thrown into the furnace. The crazed crafting began. Metal-type spirit grass. Man Tualuo frowned slightly. Half a minute later, the wood attribute spirit grass entered the pill furnace. In water attribution, fire-type and earth-type spirit grass were thrown inside. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. 5 elemental spirit grass. What does he want to do? Because she was in too much of a hurry, it caused her to spit out a mouthful of black blood that attacked her heart. The acute poison in her divine wood heart began to spread crazily, and she ignored it as she said, "Long Fei, no, no, I really can't." She knew what kind of pill Long Fei was going to refine. He wanted to refine the 5-element spirit powder. This kind of pellet was definitely not a success. Moreover, it would have a strong 5 elements anaphasic force. If one was not careful, one would suffer from heavy injuries, and one might not be able to obtain alchemy in their entire lifetime. Xiaoing supported Man Tualuo and said, "Miss, what's wrong? Wasn't young Master Long fine? Why not?" Man Tualuo said, "He wants to refine the 5-element spirit powder. This is impossible. No one has been able to link the 5 elements together, crush them with their rings, and restrain them with their rings. No one has been able to do that. Table of contents. If we can't do this, the 5-element spirit powder can't succeed." She had tried to use 2 of the 5 elemental spirit grasses, but the result was that she had been lying in bed for a whole month. If not for her natural immortal grass and immortal foundation, she would not be able to use her alchemy. The power of the 5 elements was stronger. Man Tualuo's tears were flowing out. "Don't continue. You will die." The first chapter. Thank you, 100 treasures gold for your 50-month ticket strike. Thank you, 8_8419/23569115. If he messed up, he would really die. If he messed up, he would really die. Moreover, Man Tualuo could see very clearly that Long Fei's 5 elements spirit grass was of extremely high quality. Basically, all of them were heaven-rank spirit grass, and the energy of the 5 elements within these spirit grass were even thicker. If he didn't control it properly, the 5 elements would definitely suffer a backlash. Long Fei did not hear it at all. Right now, he was the only person in this world. He could not hear any sounds or laughter from the outside. This was a sort of boundary. At this moment, Wang, roar. A soft sound came out from the green dragon tripod. Following that, the green dragon roared again. Endless green dragon energy flowed into the pill, instantly raising its grade. At the same time, the pavilion master shouted, "Done!" Boom. The green dragon tripod descended from the sky, and the entire powder-making competition stage shook. The pills still crawling around the powder-making competition stage fell to the ground with a pale face. A spiritual fragrance wafted in all directions, assaulting the nostrils of everyone present. Just a slight breath of it was enough to make them feel incomparably excited. Morale had risen dramatically. The pavilion master raised his eyes and looked at Long Fei. He then entered a state of meditation and frowned at the box beside him. Demon? Humph. Do they look like they're from the dark demon area? I never thought that this man Tualuo would actually collude with the demons. But, yeah, she's a monster herself. The pavilion master's face was filled with disdain. Picking up the green dragon tripod as pellets, he laughed coldly and said, "Even if you are a devil alchemy genius, you still won't be my match. Kid, you have lost this match." And then there was Long Fei. After all of the spirit grass were thrown in, Long Fei frowned. showing extreme caution. The power of the 5 elements exceeded his expectations and was extremely difficult to control. Moreover, if they were allowed to maintain an absolute balance, even the slightest mistake would be a failure. The further he went, the more difficult it became. However, this was still within the range that Long Fei could control. However, in order for these 5 elements spirit liquid to possess the power of seal, just fusing them together was not enough, and he would need to possess another power. The power of seal. Huff, huff. Long Fei exhaled a deep breath and suddenly shouted in his heart, "4th level, peerless, open for me." Buzz. 16 folds of elemental energy exploded in his body, causing him to tremble violently. Power formed a resonance. Long Fei also followed and shouted, "Secret skill. Sealing open." A ray of seal's energy was poured into the magic panacea furnace, and at the same time, Long Fei roared in his heart without giving these 5 types of power a chance to retaliate. Celestial soul root. The power of the spirit grass. Open it for me. Other than the 9 bronze men who had fused with the god's soul herb and formed the god's soul herb, Long Fei also possessed the god's soul herb's increasing power towards all the auxiliary method. It was never used. It was all for now. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sound of the buzzing immortal foundation power from Long Fei's body wildly rushed into the magic panacea furnace and firmly suppressed the berserking power of the 5 elements. "Let me handle it," Long Fei roared out and released all of the power of celestial value from his body. A final crushing force. Crack, crack, crack. The magic panacea furnace could not withstand the pressure and started to crack, as if a layer of ice had cracked. Crap, the furnace is about to explode. Man Tualuo's face was deathly pale, and she started to worry even more. Right now, she was no longer concerned about winning or surviving. She was only worried about Long Fei. Xiao clenched his fists tightly. He was extremely nervous. He did not even dare to breathe loudly. The drug race disciples laughed excitedly. The furnace is really going to explode this time. Ha ha ha. Kid, you have lost for sure. Competing with the great pavilion master in alchemy, you're courting death. Ha ha ha. Countless disciples began to laugh complacently, seeing the magic panacea furnace constantly exploding. They couldn't help but get excited. If the pellet was to be formed, there would only be one result of the furnace exploding. Failure. The energy in the furnace was too strong. The magic panacea furnace could not take it. Is he going to fail? Is he going to fail? Is he really going to fail? Long Fei's eyes were like King Kong. He roared out loudly, "I will never fail." He bellowed. Long Fei poured a drop of blood essence into the god's devil ancient case, and immediately huge waves that were tens of thousands of meters tall were formed within the god's devil ancient case. In less than half a second, Long Fei took out the blood essence and dripped it into the pill furnace. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Buzz, buzz. The pill furnace hummed loudly. The dragon's salure among the space ring hummed and vibrated, producing wave after wave of loud sounds. Even stranger, the green dragon tripod was also trembling nonstop. The green dragon pattern on the cauldron seemed to be moving as if it wanted to charge out. The resonance of a dragon. What blood vein S was in Long Fei's body? There were no blood vein S. There were no dragon spirit blood S to speak of, but his blood vein, on the other hand, could cause a resonance in the dark dragon god, but it could also cause a resonance from the azure dragon on top of the green dragon medicine tripod. At this moment, Everyone was stunned by the resonating roars of the dragons. Long Fei's blood essence exploded within the pill. Ning was stunned. A crack, exploding forth. A loud sound was heard, and the magic panacea furnace burst out. A crimson-red pellet laid quietly at the bottom of the magic panacea furnace. It had no chi, no spiritual energy, no power of the 5 elements, and it did not release anything. Not a bit. It was as if this pill wasn't a pill at all. However, it was more special than any pill. Long Fei shouted excitedly, "Success!" The entire audience was stunned. Man Tualuo's heart loosened, and her body couldn't even hold on. If not for Xiao Ying's support, she would have been paralyzed sitting on the ground. Xiao Ying asked gently, "Miss, why is it that the pills refined by young Master Long did not emit the slightest fragrance, as if it wasn't a medicinal pill?" This was the most basic truth. Even those who didn't understand alchemy would know. The stronger the fragrance, the higher the grade of the pill. Man Tualuo frowned and shook his head. "I don't know either, but it's good that he's fine." As long as Long Fei was not injured, the rest were no longer important. At the moment the magic panacea furnace cracked, her heart was so nervous she could die. Ha ha ha. A useless pill. It's definitely a useless pill. There's not even a hint of a spiritual fragrance coming from it. It's definitely a useless pill. Kid, you've lost. We won. Ha ha. Drug Race has never lost when we enter the valley, so it's time to cripple him. The people of Drug Race cheered. They all understood the simplest principle of pills. Not even the slightest scent of spirit incense was emitted, which was to say that this pill was a failure. Half / life. All 3-year-olds in the Medicine Valley knew this logic. The pavilion master also revealed a complacent smile. Looking at Long Fei on the powder-making competition stage, he said, "You've lost." The corner of Long Fei's mouth quirked as he wildly laughed loudly. "Ha ha! You don't even know the basics of pills, and you still say that I've lost? Grand Pavilion Master, you're too weak." Chapter 28_8419/2356916. The Grand Pavilion Master's expression was incomparably unsightly. The Grand Pavilion Master's expression was incomparably unsightly. No matter how many times he tried, no matter how many methods he thought of, the result would still be the same. His level was not high enough. Second Elder, Yao Pity whispered, "Big brother, what's going on?" The great Pavilion Master's face was ashen as he gave the pill to Yao Pity, saying, "Try it." Yao Pity was stunned. Could it be that there was a pill that even the Grand Pavilion Master was unable to detect? Taking the pill, the idea moved as well, and it was instantly bounced back. Even its body could not take it anymore. The expression on Yao Pity's face drastically changed as he looked at the Pavilion Master, speechless. This pill, this is impossible. The great Pavilion Master looked at Long Fei, who was currently ignoring them on the powder-making competition stage. He was strong enough. He was strong enough. A strength that could crush Drug Race. This was not arrogance, not savagery. The Grand Pavilion Master's heart sank. He felt very uncomfortable and was unable to accept reality. But the truth was the truth. He was unable to sense the quality of this pill. His cultivation was only at Heaven Stage Level 8. He could even sense Heaven Stage Level 9 pills, but he was unable to sense any pills beyond the Heaven grade. In other words, the pellet Long Fei refined exceeded 9th level of Heaven Stage, and just as he had said, it was a pellet of immortality. Appraisal required a high level as well. If the grade of a pill could not be reached, it would be impossible to detect. The Grand Pavilion Master was not ordinary. For him to be able to detect a pill at the Great Circle of the Heaven stage was already an astonishing talent, but he was unable to detect any immortal pills above the Heaven stage. Long Fei looked at their ashen faces, smiled slightly, and said, "You can't detect it, right? That's because your levels are not high enough." Long Fei walked down from the powder-making competition stage and said slightly, "I'll go back to where the green dragon tripod are. If anyone dares to move, I'll fight with him." Finished. Long Fei smiled as he walked to the side of the pavilion master and slowly said, "Let me first tell you why I say that you don't even know the most basic of things. Is spirit fragrance just a good pill? It's a high-grade medicinal pill." "Wrong," Long Fei said. "The reason why it smells good is because you did not merge all the spirit liquid from the spirit grass into the pill and instead released it. No matter how high the grade of the pill is, it would not be able to reach its peak. You don't even know this much. How can you be so complacent? Isn't this the best case scenario? If even the spirit liquid was evaporated, how could it be the best quality pill? Impossible." Hearing what Long Fei had said, the Grand Pavilion Master's gaze darkened. But he had to admit that Long Fei was right. They had always thought that the stronger the fragrance, the higher the quality of the pills. Now, it seemed that the truly good pills were pills that absorbed the entire spirit grass attribute into the pill. This was a good pill. The Grand Pavilion Master's legs were burning with anger because of what Long Fei had said. Following that, Long Fei continued, "This pill is a first-grade immortal pill. Just call it—" This was the pill he had created. His name had yet to be decided when he turned around and saw Man Tualuo. He immediately said, "Its name is Man Tualuo." Man Tualuo's expression changed. Xiaoing instantly became excited and said excitedly, "Miss, he used your name to name the medicinal pellet. Wow. So handsome. It's simply too cool." He had an expression of infatuation. Hearing the 3 words Man Tualuo, the Grand Pavilion Master's expression darkened, and felt as if his face had been slapped once again. Long Fei continued, "As for its effects—" "Ha ha!" Long Fei's gaze turned as he stared at the nearby Mu Xiaoyao, and said, "Patriarch Mu, you should be the most interested." "Spirit sealing." Mu Xiaoyao's expression changed. He stared at Long Fei and could not help but shout, "Spirit powder?" The Mu clan disciples' expression changed, and they stared at Long Fei. His eyes were filled with killing intent. The head pavilion master said lightly, "Are there really spirit powder?" Long Fei said, "You think that Man Tualuo is deceiving you? After being chased out of the Medicine Valley for 10 years, she had suffered all sorts of insults and hardships. But what was she thinking? To create a pill that would allow the drug race to rise in power is the spirit powder. Merely, all of you think of her as a monster, a joke." The expression of the drug race disciple darkened. The expression on the face of the pavilion master became even uglier. Man Tualuo was indeed a genius with alchemy, but after that incident, everyone had treated her as a monster. Back then, her parents did not hesitate to use their own lives to protect her. Now that they thought about it, they didn't even try to find out the reason for it. They had indeed gone a bit too far. Man Tualuo's eyes filled with tears. Xiaoing couldn't help but cry. Long Fei continued, "This is also the reason why I named her by her name. It is because she created the spirit powder." The pavilion master said, "With her current level of cultivation and alchemy, she simply cannot concoct an immortal pill. And this you—" Long Fei said, "This was improved on her infant spirit powder, soul sealing of the 5 elements." As soon as his voice faded, looking at Long Fei, his voice became incomparably agitated and said, "You're saying soul sealing of the 5 elements, a pill with the power of the seal of the 5 elements. Finally, it was his turn to go on stage. Facing a pleased cold smile, Mu Xiaoyao clapped and said, "Amazing, amazing, it's really quite amazing. I have never seen such a wonderful powder-making competition in my entire life before. I have no choice but to admire you alchemy cultivators. Each and every one of you are monsters." But Mu Xiaoyao laughed coldly. "Everything you've done today was a waste. Because you must die." Mu Xiaoyao pointed to the pavilion master, then to Yao Puti, and said, "You die too, and all of you drug races disciples like you, all of your alchemy, die too." At this moment, the medicinal pill crawled up from the ground, pounced at Mu Xiaoyao's feet, and said, "Patriarch Mu, you and I are on the other side. I was the one who brought you into the medicinal valley. Not waiting for him to finish, Mu Xiaoyao slapped down with his palm, striking the medicine pill on the forehead, and said with a kick, "You're just a piece of trash." A palm fell. The medicinal pills quickly turned into rotten wood, the wood-type chi method of the Mu clan. The pill was instantly killed. The face of the grand pavilion master darkened as he shouted, "Mu Xiaoyao!" Mu Xiaoyao pointed at him with one hand and laughed, "Wait first." Then Mu Xiaoyao looked at Long Fei and said, "You are very powerful, extremely powerful. Just by relying on your own strength to suppress the entire drug race, I will give you a chance to live. From today onwards, if you follow my Mu clan, I will give you the position of Great Elder." Long Fei was too strong. Every type of pill was incomparably powerful. If this kind of person could be used by him, then the Mu clan's power would quickly increase. Mu Xiaoyao laughed complacently. "Don't be in such a hurry to agree. Think carefully before you answer, because if you answer wrongly, you will end up like him." He stared at Long Fei. "You are a smart person." Long Fei laughed. "You can even tell that I'm a smart person? Then should I not pursue the matter of killing your elder and your Mu clan disciple?" Mu Xiaoyao said, "Those are small matters. There's no need to pursue them." Long Fei continued, "Then why don't you pursue the matter of me getting slapped by a ghost?" Mu Xiaoyao's expression turned cold and said, "As long as you become a member of my Mu family, I will not pursue this matter." "Ha ha ha!" Long Fei laughed and said, "Mu Xiaoyao, I won't pursue the matter of killing your clansmen, and I won't look into it even if I smack you in the face." "Ha ha ha!" Long Fei laughed very arrogantly, extremely arrogantly. Mu Xiaoyao's face was extremely ugly. He had been played by Long Fei. Mu Xiaoyao's eyes darkened and shouted coldly, "Brat, do you know what happens if you anger me?" Long Fei said, "You weakling, didn't I already kill your elder and slap your face? What would happen to him? Am I still alive?" Adding on the fact that his alchemy was very taxing on his mental energy, Long Fei would definitely be extremely exhausted right now. How could he possibly be a match for the Mu family's experts at this point of time? Mu Xiaoyao laughed. "Just you two, trash? Humph, you overestimate yourself." They didn't put the two of them in their eyes at all. It was at this moment. A voice came out of Long Fei's mind. "Boss, everything is settled." Following that, the corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he laughed and said, "Mu Xiaoyao, don't you think that your Mu family army is a little abnormal? It has been so long since a ghost has appeared. Could it be that all of you Mu clan disciples have eaten your shit?" As soon as his voice faded, Mu Xiaoyao frowned. Indeed, his reaction was too slow. Logically speaking, it should appear very soon. Even if it did not appear in the forest, there should still be some activity. But now, there was not the slightest sound. Why was this so? Do you think you're awesome? Everything is under control. Long Fei's voice was filled with contempt, and he said with a cold smile, "In my eyes, you're merely a weak person. You still want to fight me? You're too inexperienced. If I were to fight with you, I would do the same as bullying a primary school student." Mu Xiaoyao had an ominous premonition. His voice turned heavy as he shouted, "Go check it out immediately." At this time, Yao Changtian led a group of drug race disciples out from the forest slowly and said with a smile, "Don't go investigate. All of your people are dead." Mu Xiaoyao's body sank as he shouted, "Impossible! The 5th chapter was delivered. 8_8419/2356919. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Impossible, absolutely impossible. My Mu family has so many elite disciples, yet all of you drug race trash are no match for us." Mu Xiaoyao yelled out, "Another signal flare." Whoosh! Another cloud-piercing arrow shot out. Yao Changtian slowly walked over and laughed. "The martial power of our drug race is indeed not strong, but don't forget what we do. I still have to thank Man Tualuo for refining the poison maize pill." While they were talking, Yao Changtian glanced at Long Fei and gently nodded his head. After that, he walked in front of the pavilion master and said, "Pavilion master, it was Man Tualuo who discovered the Mu family's conspiracy to destroy my drug race. So he asked me to make preparations in advance." Within Herb Mountain, the eyes of the disciples of the Mu family were all eliminated. Man Tualuo's gaze tensed up. She didn't know any of this. All of this was something that Long Fei had predicted, and also something that he had arranged for her. Everything had nothing to do with her, but he pushed all the credit to her. That feeling, it was no longer possible to express it. It was also at this time. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei and Man Tualuo for increasing their affability level by 10. Congratulations to player Long Fei and Man Tualuo for increasing their affability level by 10. Congratulations! Notifications kept ringing. The affability level skyrocketed to 89 points, almost reaching the point where he could do whatever he wanted. In other words, he was stuck on just 1 point. The Grand Pavilion Master looked at Man Tualuo and felt upset in his heart. Yao Changtian said slightly, "If it wasn't for her, my drug race would probably have suffered a calamity." All the surrounding drug race disciples and elders had a bad expression on their faces. It was exactly as Yao Changtian said. If not for Man Tualuo, many of the Mu clan disciples would have died. The monster in their eyes, the enemy, had actually helped them get through this difficult situation. This was worse than slapping them in the face. The pavilion master let out a long breath, looked at Man Tualuo and bowed deeply, then said, "Thank you." All of the drug race disciples bowed in gratitude. Man Tualuo's eyes were filled with tears of passion. It had been 10 years, 10 whole years, and she didn't even know how she had made it past these 10 years. The defensive line in Man Tualuo's heart had also completely collapsed as he said loudly, "It's me who has let you down, the drug race who has let you down, everyone who has done so." The pavilion master continued, "From today onwards, you are the new head of the Medicine Valley. Whoever dares to disobey, I will be the first to not let him off." 10 years ago, she was the young valley master. Now, the pavilion master returned the things that belonged to Man Tualuo to her, and he still felt that he was extremely indebted to her. He calmed himself and thought back to that matter back then. It was also at this time. A disciple of the Mu family said in a low voice, "Patriarch, there really isn't a single one of us in the forest. It's probably just as they said, all of them. Impossible." Mu Xiaoyao shouted, "There is no other exit to the Medicine Valley. This is the only exit." Yao Changtian laughed. Are you really as stupid as the people from Drug Race? Because of you, was there no way out? Ha ha ha. Mu Xiaoyao's eyes shook. The anger on his body continued to surge, and he released the spirit immortal peak realm's spirit chi. At that moment, he roared at the sky, berserk immortal power, release it for me. Ah! He forcefully broke through the arrogant immortal state. He would pay any price to kill the Drug Race, to kill Long Fei. Wang. Mu Xiaoyao's cultivation had broken through its shackles, and the aura on his body had become even stronger. His voice was also extremely arrogant as he said, even if they die, it'll be enough to deal with trash like you and trash like us. Arrogant immortal state. Unusual. In the entire Medicine Valley, not a single person was his match. Moreover, the disciples behind Mu Xiaoyao were all experts. Just as he had said, the Mu clan alone would be enough to crush the entire Drug Race. The great pavilion master's face darkened as he shouted, "Where are the Drug Race disciples?" Ha! Ha! All of the disciples shouted. The pavilion master's eyes grew sinister as he said, "Once the small bursting immortal pill enters our bodies, our military might isn't strong. However, we have endless pills. Let's see who can kill who." At this moment, Long Fei took a step forward and said to the pavilion master, "Can you lend me some things?" He did not say it, but in his heart, he was very clear that without Long Fei's words, the Drug Race was dead. And he had to admit that he admired Long Fei and even worshipped him a little. To be able to cultivate the alchemy technique to the perfect stage of the heaven stage at the age of 20, who could do that? At least, he was 180,000 streets away from Long Fei. The pavilion master immediately asked, "What do you want?" Long Fei said, "The spirit burst pill you refined just now." The pavilion master immediately gave it to Long Fei. Long Fei said, "Thank you." Long Fei swallowed it whole. Ding! Power of Celestial is full, instantly filling up. This pill was too awesome. Long Fei became excited and said, "In return, you will take this man to all you owe and leave the people from the Mu clan to me." The pavilion master was taken aback. Yao Changtian also followed up. He forcefully broke through the arrogant immortal state. "You are only at the 5th stage of the nascent immortal stage. You are not his opponent. You will be in the valley first." Yeah, 5th level of the immortal realm. 1st level of the crazy immortal realm. There was a difference of several tens of levels. How could he be a match for someone like that? However, Mu Xiaoyao is the first boss. How can we let him go? Moreover, from the moment Mu Xiaoyao appeared, he had already thought of a way to kill him. Long Fei said excitedly, "Don't worry, I can deal with him. In my eyes, he's just a primary school student. I'll cripple him." Yao Changtian did not understand. What are primary school students? Long Fei laughed indifferently. "You will know in a while." Long Fei took a step forward, pointed at Mu Xiaoyao, and said, "Just now you said that my power of Celestial was exhausted, and now I'm instantly full. You said earlier that I'm not qualified to fight with you. Then I'll show you what qualifications are today." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's heart stirred as he shouted, "Giant demon, come out!" A stream of power of Celestial poured into the broken 1st floor of the 18th level of hell, causing the eyes of the giant demon to open slightly. Roar! A loud sound echoed out. A huge shadow fell from the sky. It was so strong that it exploded. The entire valley was shaking. The giant demon looked at Long Fei respectfully and knelt down on one knee. "Master!" Long Fei stared at the dumbstruck Mu Xiaoyao and laughed arrogantly. "Elementary student, is it enough for me to fight with you now?" Mu Xiaoyao was incredibly shocked. Was this person even human? This was a freakish giant demon. His cultivation suppressed Lin Ming, by 100,000 miles. The people of Drug Race were also dumbfounded. Floating life, table of contents, no windows. A++, they were extremely glad that they did not rashly take action against Long Fei. Or else, and then, Long Fei grinned and said, "Kill him. Kill all of those underlings first. Then kill this primary school student." Chapter 6 was sent, plus another chapter. At the end of the month, I have a monthly ticket to support me. Haiyang is extremely grateful. 8_8419/2356920. The striking energy value is not enough. The striking energy value is not enough. He had to kill the lackeys first before he could destroy Mu Xiaoyao. Long Fei's voice fell. The giant demon pulled out a big tree beside him, broke it in half, and turned it into a huge hammer, then smashed it towards the minions. Crack! Crack! It was as if he was swatting a fly. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating Mu family's little Luo. Rewards: 120 EXP, 300 power of celestial, 100 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to the player Long Fei for killing Mu family trainee Luo for obtaining 11,000 experience points, 27 power of celestial, and 100 energy values points. The system sounded out continuously. The giant demon swept out another 2 staff strikes. Those minions were instantly wiped out. Long Fei leaped up heavily, stood on the giant demon's shoulder, and looked down at Mu Xiaoyao, who was still trembling on the ground from up high. He laughed wildly. "Mu Xiaoyao, do you think I have the qualifications to be a dog now?" "Huh. You think you're worthy of acting cool with Lousy? You weakling!" Mu Xiaoyao did not dare move. His body continuously trembled. He had never suffered such a crushing defeat before. The gravitational pressure being released from the giant demon's body was too strong. His mind and his sea of consciousness had already ruptured. He simply could not endure it. Even if his entire Mu family's disciples were here, they would still not be a match for this giant demon. And then Mu Xiaoyao suddenly knelt down and said, "Young Master Long, I beg of you to spare my life. I swear that I will never make a move against Drug Race. I will never make a move against Man Tualuo again. I beg of you to spare my life." Life was the most important thing at all times. If he died, there would be nothing left. Mu Xiaoyao was very afraid of death, and looking at the dead disciples beside him, he was even more afraid of death. Long Fei grinned and laughed. "Spare you?" Mu Xiaoyao said, "My son has already been accepted by the God Emperor Academy, and the Mu family has already established a relationship with the God Emperor Academy. If you kill me, my son will not let you go, and the God Emperor Academy will not either, not waiting for him to finish." Long Fei roared out, "Threatening me? The God Emperor Academy is amazing, right?" Thinking about the incident that happened on the god's Soul Town, Long Fei became extremely angry. The God Emperor Academy S had dominated the immortal domain for countless of years, and this also caused the students of the Academy to rapidly expand. They did not even put ordinary people in their eyes. The one I am beating is the God Emperor Academy. Giant Demon. Long Fei did not want Mu Xiaoyao to be long-winded anymore and shouted, "Don't worry, I will definitely send your son down to accompany you." Rumble. The giant demon smashed down with the club in his hands heavily, directly creating a long dent. Mu Xiaoyao completely had no ability to resist, and was smashed into meat paste. Instant kill. It was also at this time that Long Fei became excited in his heart, touch striking energy value. Demacia. It must be leaked. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the boss Mu Xiaoyao. You have obtained experience points. Power of Celestial 1,500 points. Energy values 100 points. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 3-rate fairy vein. You wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Immortal Deity Fist. You wish to learn it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heart of Ancient Fairy Tree. Do you wish to fuse it? Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Holy 6th rank. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the system reward package. Would you like to check it? A gift pack box appeared in Long Fei's mind, shining brilliantly. Long Fei moved his body and said, "Check it." He clicked it. The gift box opened. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to the players for obtaining the Infinite Sword. Do you wish to cultivate it? Huh. Ah. Long Fei's little heart could not take it anymore. What path of the sword? Long Fei's pupils constricted. He held his breath and looked at the words Infinite Sword carefully. His blood started to boil all of a sudden. Damn. It's really the Sword Saint's Infinite Sword. System, damn you, are you that handsome? He's so handsome that he's like a pile of dregs. Long Fei was so moved that he almost cried. Although he did not say much, his favorite hero was Master Yi. The last time he had comprehended the sword intent of the Holy Sword 81 moves in Xianjin sect, it was not the sword intent of the Sword Saint in game, but the current Infinite Sword was the sword intent belonging to the Sword Saint. It was boiling. Long Fei moved and said, "Cultivate." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 experience points for cultivating Infinite Sword. The number of power of Celestial is 100. The reward is 100 points. The Infinite Sword was not a sword technique. There were no moves. It was a kind of sword intent. A supreme sword intent. Training was also training the sword intent of Infinite Sword. With the Infinite Sword, Long Fei's sword training speed would be faster by several times, and his comprehension of the sword would also increase by several times. This was the terror of the Infinite Sword. Long Fei laughed in his heart. We have the Infinite Sword. When will we be able to take the Alpha Assault and become Sword Saint? If you don't believe me, then it's good to have the Barbarian King's help. Dima's big is fine too. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was overjoyed in his heart. And then the Yen Huang ancestors' aura disappeared. The Dragon Salure S and Heart of Ancient Fairy Tree S of Long Fei's space ring also disappeared together. Immortal Divine Fist. Cultivate. Long Fei moved and started cultivating. Skill path. Immortal Divine Fist grade. Immortal grade 9 consumption. 100 power of Celestial S proficiency. Description: this cultivation technique possesses decaying power. With a punch, wood type energy will surge. With a heavy punch, the user will be able to turn the opponent into wood. This should be the Mu clan's best cultivation technique, right? Long Fei smiled slightly. Mu family. Basically, my eyes are rolling over. At this moment, Drug Race and the other disciples also came to their senses, their faces filled with shock. Looking at Long Fei, he started to admire him even more. Could this even be considered to be a human? The astonishing peerless talent of his alchemy was not counted. He still had such powerful fighting strength. It was too terrifying. It was fortunate that he was also angry and did not take action. Otherwise, Drug Race's fate was unimaginable. Too cool. Young Master Long is simply too handsome. So handsome that it's crappy. Xiao Ying was incomparably excited, and the moment she saw Long Fei summon the giant demon, her heart trembled. This was too fucking valiant. Man Tualuo was also extremely excited, but at this moment, Man Tualuo's face turned pale white. Her fingers slowly turned into wood. Her body became stiff, Her eyes became blurry, and she fainted. Miss, young Master Long, the young Miss fainted. Xiao Ying was so anxious that tears almost fell, and she shouted out loud. Crap! Long Fei was so excited that he forgot to let the pavilion master give Man Tuoluo a almighty anti-poison pill. The great pavilion master's forehead tightened as he immediately said, Hurry up and carry her into the Medicine Valley. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Tian Chong, go get the almighty anti-poison pill. Hurry up. No one was more anxious than him. He had done wrong before, but now, furthermore, the fact that she was able to research a spirit powder was enough to show that her alchemy talent was higher than all of the elders in the drug race. Furthermore, they all knew in their hearts that Man Tuoluo's true strength was not in her alchemy. It was poison. Her immortal roots were a type of highly toxic immortal root. Long Fei reminded them, Let me carry her. You two better stay far away from them, or else your temperament will become a mess. The aphrodisiac phenomenon on Man Tuoluo's body could not be resisted by just anyone. The tragedy that happened must be related to the strange fragrance on her body. Long Fei carried Man Tuoluo, retracted his breath, and quickly ran into the valley. Even though he was holding his breath, Long Fei's eyes couldn't help but look at Man Tuoluo's body. There was no way to describe it. His body felt soft and boneless, big but straight. Her slender legs and jade-like skin, every inch, every pore exuded a temptation that no man could resist. Moreover, her domineering age was like a ripe peach, ripe to the point that juice was about to fall out. The most crucial point, Long Fei Mandala was born with the innate skill of aphrodisiac, the realm that no one could stop. Hold on. Long Fei muttered. Xiao Ying said from the side, Miss will definitely hold on. She will definitely hold on. F***CK. Long Fei muttered in his heart and thought, I'm asking me to hold on by myself. I can't even hold on anymore. The power of primordial energy under my crotch is too strong. At this time, the Yen Huang ancestor was no longer around. He had to rely on himself. With the infinite sword, when will we be able to use a few big moves, one that is as powerful as Pan Shin? A calamity? Long Fei's mind was constantly thinking of other things to distract himself. Only this way would he be able to control himself slightly and not think about Man Tuoluo's sexy figure. If it doesn't work, it's good to have area-off effect skills. My area-off effect skills are too few. Feyer's strength is not bad in the Southern Heaven region, but in a mortal domain, I'm afraid we need to increase our strength as well. Long Fei muttered in his heart, What hero skill is good when it comes to area-off effect attacks? Mage's magic is not bad. Ouch. Long Fei was on the verge of losing control and asked, Why aren't you here yet? How far is it? Looking at Long Fei's flushed face and thinking back to that tragic event back then, the pavilion master felt even more that his own grandson, his son, was unstable. He was impressed by Long Fei's ability to control himself. This kid is incredible. It's up ahead. We'll be there soon. The pavilion master pointed to a courtyard. Ah. Long Fei's entire body flushed red as he let out a furious roar. His entire person ran out crazily as he cursed in his heart. Damn, I have yet to experience the greatness of another hero, but this, I, on the other hand, have experienced Kwang Warrior Olaf's greatness. Rampage. His entire body turned red, and he rushed out like a madman. He rushed into the courtyard with lightning speed, placed Man Tuoluo on the bed, and immediately ran out. After taking in a deep breath, he found himself unable to control the power of the flood. Grand Pavilion Master, where is the river? The Pavilion Master was stunned for a moment before saying, In the back of the mountain, there is a deep pool where, not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei had already disappeared. A few minutes later, plop, Long Fei dove down fiercely. His heart was cold, and his heart was in the air. The flames all over his body slowly descended under the deep pool of this ice-cold, bone-piercing water. This feeling was hard to describe. However, if he still could not descend, Long Fei was truly worried that his body would be destroyed by the power of the flood. Thinking back to the tragic case in Drug Race back, then he reckoned that he was also like this. Huff! Long Fei let out a long breath and said, "Damn, so my quality was actually this good? I admire myself." Rob, what's the difference between taking advantage of a human and a beast? However, I was unmoved by that kind of situation. I was even worse than a beast. Long Fei forced a bitter smile. On one side, there were beasts. On the other, there were beasts that were inferior to beasts. No rush. Anyway, the affability level has already reached 89 points. It won't take more than a few days. Long Fei glanced at his affability level with Man Tualuo and excitedly started laughing. However, thinking about the aphrodisiac immortal roots on Man Tualuo's body, his chrysanthemum tightened. Don't kill them off when the time comes. That's a problem. I still want to find a few more girls. Half an hour later, Xiao Ying hurriedly ran to the back mountain, looked at Long Fei, who was deep inside the pond, and said, "Young Master Long, young Miss has woken up." Long Fei was startled. The effects of the almighty anti-poison pill is really fast. It woke up already in such a short time. Following that, he crawled up from the deep pool. As he was not wearing much clothes, his body became translucent when he wet himself. The muscles were not big, but they were filled with boundless power. 36O search. Half floating / equals. In addition to the few visible scars, Long Fei's steel-like and handsome face became even more prominent. He looked extremely manly and cool. Xiao Ying's cheeks flushed red when she saw this. Long Fei immediately hugged her hands and shouted, "You female rogue, what are you looking at? Haven't you seen a man take a bath before?" Chapter 2. Thank you for Fox S monthly vote support 8_8419/2356923. You're the hooligan. Xiao Ying saw some things that he shouldn't have seen. Both of his cheeks were flushed, and his ears were about to turn red from all the dripping. So he turned and fled like a madman. However, the instant he turned around, he bumped into a tree, causing him to stumble and run in pain. He almost fell down several times. He was completely panicking. F***CK. Woman, am I that scary? Long Fei muttered as he took out a set of clean clothes from the space ring. At this moment, Man Tualuo had already woken up, and the poison in his divine wood heart had been completely cleansed. As long as it was a man, they had to retreat out of the room. They were not afraid, but they couldn't resist the power of the immortal foundation from Man Tualuo's body. Man Tualuo also knew in his heart that he wanted to get up. The pavilion master hurriedly said, "Child, don't get up. You have not recovered yet. Sai, you've suffered so much all these years. It's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have." The great pavilion master fell into a deep state of guilt. All these years, he had always thought that it was Man Tualuo who destroyed the drug race. He always hated her in his heart, so much so that in the ancestral hall, Man Tualuo's parents would definitely die. Regarding this, he blamed himself in his heart. Man Tualuo said, "Pavilion Master, I was the one who harmed everyone. If it wasn't for my natural immortal foundation, Drug Race wouldn't have been able to produce so many things. Child, today you saved Drug Race. On behalf of the Drug Race, I thank you. Finished. The pavilion master fell to his knees. Mantualuo's gaze tightened. Great pavilion master, you can't. At this moment, Long Fei walked into the courtyard. Seeing the pavilion master kneeling down, he was secretly shocked. A dignified Drug Race elder kneeling down for all the mistakes from the past was extremely rare. How many people could do that? Immediately, Long Fei said, Pavilion master, everything is over now. If you're saying this, then you won't take Mantualuo as a person of the Drug Race. She has never forgotten that she is the descendant of the Drug Race, so she decided on the way here that she might not get the antidote. Of course. Long Fei made this up. Mantualuo looked at Long Fei, his eyes filled with gratitude. The Grand Pavilion Master was helped up by Long Fei and said, We were wrong. And then the Grand Pavilion Master looked at Long Fei and said, I also thank young Hero Long for saving me. Otherwise, my Drug Race would have been covered in corpses. Long Fei laughed. What are you saying? Don't forget I have trampled your Drug Race quite miserably. I believe you all hate me to death. Ha ha ha. Huh. Ha ha ha. The Pavilion Master also laughed. The many elders of Drug Race all followed and laughed. They had never been afraid of anyone in their lives on alchemy. He was going to kneel. He was going to kneel. Long Fei almost kneeled down. The word boss. S. Little Heart was completely unable to take it, and her body had gone soft. What was in front of him? The Azure Dragon Ancestor. Its aura was enough to kill him 18 times over. However, Long Fei forcefully held it back, restrained himself from trembling, lowered his voice, and asked, What are you calling me? He heard it clearly. But what if the Azure Dragon Ancestor calls someone else? This boss can't be reckless. The Azure Dragon founder said, Boss, I'm calling you boss. How many years has it been? It seems like there is hope for the dragon race. Plop. This time, Long Fei almost kneeled down. The Azure Dragon Ancestor spoke quite carefully. He was calling him boss. He's the Azure Dragon Ancestor's boss. He recognized the wrong person. He must have recognized the wrong person. Long Fei said in his heart, normally he would be very arrogant and wild, but now he was facing the Azure Dragon Ancestor, who could easily kill him in an instant. That's not right. He is a dragon, and I am only one person. Even if I recognize the wrong person, I wouldn't recognize him, right? Long Fei felt that something was wrong. And then Long Fei asked, You are the Azure Dragon Ancestor? The Azure Dragon Ancestor said, Have you forgotten about me? I am Shaoqing, boss. Don't you remember me? Oh my God! Long Fei's heart was about to explode. The Azure Dragon Ancestor addressing himself as Little Qing in front of him, Long Fei said in his heart, Why aren't you White Lady? Suddenly, the Azure Dragon Ancestor's forehead tightened. Long Fei instantly became nervous. This guy couldn't have recognized me, right? You're not going to say that I'm an imposter and kill me, right? I'll be dead meat. After pondering for a moment, the Azure Dragon Ancestor stared at Long Fei the entire time. His two huge dragon eyes sunk, and he suddenly said, I know, you haven't awakened your strength yet. All right then. That's fine too. All of this is a foregone conclusion for the Dragon Clan. Whether it is a new calamity or the rise of 10,000 dragons, it doesn't mean that time has yet to come. Right. Our dragon race does not believe in fate. We do not believe in the heavens. We only believe in ourselves. Although the wait is long, but now it's finally here. he kept talking to himself, causing Long Fei to not be able to interrupt him at all. In the end, he still interrupted and asked, Xiaoqing? What the hell is going on? Can you tell me? Long Fei gathered all of his strength just by saying, Xiaoqing. Since you haven't awakened yet, then I can't say anything more. In short, you need to find the dragon domain first and awaken your strength. At that time, I'll tell you everything about the dragon clan. About that. Do you know anything about the Long family?